Mechanic Stanley Ewan is suing his neighbors, Vanessa Lamb, her son, 11-year-old Javante Peck, Victoria Todd, and her son, 11-year-old Devon Todd, for throwing eggs at his apartment. The kids say Stanley threatened them with a shotgun.
Mr. Ewan, it is your claim that these boys egged your apartment.
Yes, they did.
Caused some damage, and you want to be compensated for the damage.
Yes, they do.
And their mothers say that you just don't like children, especially their children, and that you threatened the boys with a shotgun, and that there wasn't any damage to your apartment. Right?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Ewan, you live in an apartment complex?
Yes.
Do these boys and their families live in the same complex?
No.
Okay. Now, when did this incident happen with the eggs?
June 28th, about 9:30 in the morning.
Tell me what happened at 9:30 in the morning, Mr. Ewan.
Well, at 9:30 in the morning, I had a friend over. We're watching a ball game. Heard a commotion on the other side of our fence, and there was about 8 kids fighting and harassing, saying bad names and stuff. I went
saying
out.
Bad names to whom, sir?
Well, each other. You know,
so they were calling each other names and
fighting, pushing, shoving.
Now, was this in your complex or was this in their complex?
It was in their complex.
Okay.
I went outside and told them to break it up and go home, and they did so.
Did you have a shotgun?
No.
Did you say anything else to them?
Not at that time. I went back in. About 10 minutes later, 4 of them came back and threw the eggs.
Where were they when they threw the eggs, sir?
On their side of the property, on the other side of the hedge.
Did you see these 2 boys?
Yes, I did.
Did they throw eggs?
Yes, they did. Got pictures, and I got
I'd like to see the photographs, please. Was your door open, sir?
My sliding door was open, my screen door.
So the eggs got on your carpet?
Got on the carpet, got on the couch, on the front of the couch there.
Okay.
And it also got on the paint.
Do you own this house?
No.
You're a renter?
I rent.
Who paid for the outside cleaning?
It hasn't been cleaned yet. That's just an estimate.
It has not been, but you don't own the outside?
No.
Okay. Why didn't somebody just go out there and hose it off?
I tried to hose it off.
Well, it doesn't look like anybody tried to hose it off, sir, because it's still dripping.
After the pictures, I did try to hose it off.
And what happened?
The egg, it was so hot out that day that the egg dried onto it, and when I tried cleaning it off, it stripped the paint off.
Okay. How old are you?
11.
What's your name?
Javante.
And how old are you?
11.
Your name?
Devon.
You remember the day that Mr. Ewan is talking about?
Yes.
Tell me what happened.
All right. We were right over by the fence, and Javante and another kid was fighting.
What were they fighting about?
I can't remember, but they were like arguing. They weren't putting their
What
hands
were you
on.
arguing about, Javante?
We were arguing about who can knock who out and this and that.
So you were talking, I mean, that's not smart. Why were you angry at these other people?
Yeah.
And were they angry at you?
Yep.
And were you calling each other bad names?
Yes.
So Mr. Ewan came out?
Yes.
What did he say?
He said, "You ugly MFers need to stop making all this noise before I go get my shotgun."
So what did you do?
So then all of us boys went over to our houses and got eggs and went over there and threw eggs at his house.
Why did you throw eggs at his house?
Because what he was being racial.
He was being racial?
Yeah.
So that's the way you resolved it. You went over, got some eggs, and you decided to vandalize his house.
Yep.
What'd you do?
I got an egg, and when they started throwing the eggs, he came out. I dropped my egg and ran.
So now I'd like to hear from the mothers. Who wants to speak first? Go ahead.
Okay. As I was getting out my shower, I had about 3 kids run up in my house yelling and screaming where this man put a shotgun on them.
Well, but now you know that wasn't true. That was a lie.
I wasn't there.
Just a second. But now you know that was a lie.
No, I don't know that.
Sure you do, because Mr. Ewan says it wasn't true, and your boy says it's not true. He says Mr. Ewan didn't pull a shotgun on him. Mr. Ewan told him to get out, or he was going to get a shotgun. Isn't that what you said?
Yeah.
So he didn't pull a shotgun on him. He threatened him. Got it?
I still, like I said, I wasn't there, so I do not know.
Well,
I've had
want
other
you
kids.
pay
The other
attention.
kids said,
Speaking. Pay attention to what I'm saying. Your son says, you don't think your son is a liar, do you?
he will.
Well, you don't think that he would lie to make it appear that Mr. Ewan was a nice guy, right?
No.
If anything, he would lie and say he was a terrible guy, right?
And he has.
Just a second. Just a second. So when he says to you, and to me, that Mr. Ewan didn't take a gun, Mr. Ewan said to him, you don't get out of here, I'm going to get a shotgun. You think that that's the truth? You think that Mr. Ewan brought out a shotgun? That's what you think? Is that what you think?
I didn't find out till a couple days later, and my son said that no one pulled a shotgun. He said it.
Nobody pulled a shotgun, right? You saw
Yes.
a shotgun?
I saw the end of it.
You're full of baloney. You're full of baloney.
Don't even have a gun.
You said there was in the pawn shop.
Oh, yeah,
Listen,
I had a pawn shop.
shh. Listen to me very carefully. Your son says that he never pulled a shotgun, that he threatened him. So they came back, you were in the shower, you heard what you thought you heard, and what did you do?
Got all the other kids' moms, went over to the managers, addressed the issue for us and pulling the gun, called the police. The police came out, and then they talked to him, and then they talked to us, and the other, it's another guy that's involved in this as well. Anyway, to make a long story short, he was concerned as far as they can't search my house because they don't have a search warrant.
Listen to me, don't worry about Mr. Ewan.
I'm just saying
Don't worry
everything-
about Mr. Ewan. So your son came to you complaining, if you listened carefully with
He
both
wasn't
ears. I'm
the
speaking,
only one.
I'm speaking. Your son came to you, and if you were listening carefully, he said that he was going to get a shotgun, because you say he wouldn't lie about it. And he says he never pulled out a shotgun. He said he threatened he would get it. Isn't that what you just said to me?
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Shop speaking. Try to put your listening ears on. Didn't you ever say that to your son? Put on your listening ears. But while you were getting the other mothers together, the boys went and got eggs and went back to his house and egged his house. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you think that was right?
No.
So what did you do about it? That's not a hard question. Your son went and vandalized somebody's house. What did you do about it?
He was disciplined.
Tell me how.
No sweets, cookies, pop, restriction, not...
Oh, come on.
I don't believe a word of that.
Well, I mean, that's my form of discipline.
I don't believe that you disciplined him. Javante, let me tell you this. When you fight with people, that's bad. So if you were fighting with people that day, and who was going to knock who out, that doesn't mean you're too intelligent. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Because that's not the way you start playing 9 o'clock in the morning. I assume school was over, so that you had nothing to do. When you have nothing to do, what you're supposed to do is not fight. Find something to occupy your time. Maybe your mother will take you to the planetarium. 9:30 in the morning, she was just taking a shower. She should get up a little earlier in the morning if she has young children to make sure that they are adequately supervised. Now, when you do something wrong, you're supposed to acknowledge that you did something wrong. It's not my job to tell this man who's how old?
50.
50? How to conduct himself? And if this man who's 50 says something untoward to your children, their response is not to go over and vandalize his property. That's not the proper response. He's too old for me to deal with. They're not. Sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me. If somebody is stupid and says something to you that you don't like, your response is not to hurt them. Right?
Yes.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $457, which is the amount that I have here in bills. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Operations trainer Brenda Yeager is suing construction worker Albert Sutton for medical bills and pain and suffering on behalf of her 8-year-old son Jacob. Brenda says Jacob broke both of his arms when Albert threw him in the air and dropped him.
Why, Mr. Sutton, I hardly know what to say to you, sir. Bird, 30 seconds or less. I assume that this is the young man who was injured. They were playing a game, some sort of a game in a park. Miss Yeager is going to tell me, what kind of game was it?
Soccer practice.
Soccer practice. And Mr. Sutton has a child?
Yes.
Who was also at the soccer practice. And during a break in the activity, Mr. Sutton was playing with the kids. He is not a bad man. He is not an evil man. He's not a malicious man. He's just, let me be kind, short-sighted. So he was throwing his son up in the air, right?
Yes.
And when he got finished throwing his son up in the air and catching him, he threw up Mrs. Yeager's son. I mean, he didn't throw up Mrs. Yeager. He threw Mrs. Yeager's son up in the air. And he didn't catch him. And he fell and broke both arms. That's what happened.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And he was in casts, and he was out of commission for a while. When did this happen?
October 28th, 2003.
And Miss Yeager is suing Mr. Sutton for $5,000 for both their out-of-pocket medical expenses and for pain and suffering. So now that I've given you the backdrop, because this is not difficult, the facts were not difficult, they were almost conceded by the parties, Mr. Sutton, I will hear you.
When my son had his break, he asked me to throw him up in the air. I caught him. Other kids saw it. They asked their parents if they could do it. I threw up 4 or 5 other kids before I got to Jacob. Jacob, I threw up. He pushed off my chest. I couldn't catch him or get to him as quick as possible. And that's when he fell and hit the ground. But he asked his dad for permission, because my son even saw him go over and ask him and hurt him.
Did you give permission to Mr. Sutton to throw your son up in the air?
No, ma'am.
Tell me your name.
Matt Ricebeck.
What did you hear, Matt?
I heard Jacob walk up to his dad, and he asked his dad, he said, "Dad, could that guy throw me up?" And his dad said, "Yeah."
Okay, I like analogies. Let's say you were a very experienced archer. And what you used to do with your son was you would have him sit under a tree and put an apple on top of his head. And split the apple in two with your bow and arrow. And your son was used to that. And he would sit there very quietly, very still, and you thought it was okay to do that. And then Jacob said, "Oh, I want to do that." And let's say I believe your son, which I don't, that he heard him go over to his father and said, "Could I sit under a tree and let Mr. Sutton put an apple on top of my head and try to knock it off with an arrow?" And his father, in some psychotic break, said, "Sure." And Jacob sat under the tree. He put an apple on his head. Unfortunately, Jacob wasn't as good at it as your son, and he zigged. And you got him instead of the apple. Whose fault would that be? Jacob's?
No, ma'am.
His father's?
No, ma'am.
You get my point? Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
27-year-old student Christy Perryman is suing her ex-husband, 28-year-old student Jason Brewington, for the cost of a plane ticket to see his kids. Christy says Jason is a deadbeat dad.
Order. Yes, this is case number 244 on the calendar in the matter of Perryman versus Brewington. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Miss Perryman, your complaint is rather lengthy, as is your former husband's answer. So let me see if I can simplify what I perceive to be the issue in this case. You and the defendant were married and have 2 children?
3.
3 children. And you live where?
In Colorado.
And Mr. Brewington moved to Alaska.
Yes, ma'am.
And you had an agreement with him that you would split the cost of visitation with the children to Alaska. And Mr. Brewington, did you come down and pick up the children?
Yes, I did.
And it was your arrangement with your former wife that she would pay for the other half of the ticket before you did that?
Yes.
But then at some point, according to you, you changed your mind.
Yes.
Because she said to you, I don't have the money to pay for the ticket. If you want to see the children, you have to pay for the ticket. I have no money for that.
Yes,
right?
I paid for the whole ticket.
So you said to her, fine, I want to see the kids. I want the children to visit with me in Alaska, so I will pay for the ticket both ways. But at some point during the course of the visitation, you changed your mind. And you called her and said, if you want the kids back, you better get a ticket.
First, he said, if I want the kids back, I have to come and get them myself.
And you said to him?
I told him he was going to bring my kids back, or I was calling the police.
And he said?
Call them.
Does that sound right?
No.
Close.
Close, but not right.
Close. Because she had changed the rules by saying, I can't afford to send the kids and pay for half the ticket. You said, okay, I'll take care of it. And at some point, then you changed your mind and wanted her to pay what she had agreed to pay in the beginning, right?
I didn't ask her to pay for half the tickets. I just asked her to either come up and get the children or to get me a ticket back the day I flew to Denver with them.
Well, listen, let's not split hairs, sir. If she wanted the children back and she has custody of the children, then you told her to either come get them yourself, which means that she'd have to pay for her ticket back and forth, right? Yes. Or pay for my ticket, right?
Yes.
Because the kids are too small to travel by themselves.
Yes.
So far correct? And Miss Perryman says that the reason she didn't have any money is because you don't pay child support.
That's incorrect.
How much does he pay in child support?
Supposed to pay $488 a month. It's hit and miss each month.
Just a second. $488 per month, 3 children. Okay. What kind of work do you do in Alaska, sir?
I don't work. I'm a full-time student.
Well, if you're a full-time student, how do you pay this $488 a month?
I don't. I'm working with the state of Alaska now. As previous, I was working with Colorado to get it lowered.
Well, how old are you, Mr. Brewington?
I'm 28.
What makes you think you can be a full-time student after you fathered 3 children?
I'm a disabled vet going to school through Chapter 31 Voc Rehab.
I don't care if you're a Purple Heart winner. What makes you think that somebody who looks like you, who's built like you, who eats like you do, can stop working and go to school full-time when you've got 3 children to support? What gives you the right to do that?
I did it. That's what I need to do to get a better career so I can support my children better.
Well, that's all very, very nice. You expect them to go into a state of suspended animation while you get your act together?
No, but I didn't expect Mrs. Perryman over there to quit her job and to be in school as well.
Somebody is feeding your children. Who is it?
The state.
How old are your children?
3, 6, and 8.
What was so interesting about Alaska that caused you to move from Colorado to Alaska?
I was born and raised in Alaska.
And where did you live when you were married to Miss Perryman?
We lived all over. Oklahoma, Alaska, California, and then Colorado.
And how long did you live in Colorado?
About 3.5 years.
So Colorado was the home state of your family?
I guess.
Didn't it strike you, Mr. Brewington, that if you moved to Alaska, even though it's a place that you grew up, it would be difficult for you to have regular contact and visitation with your children?
Yes, I understood that.
And you were willing to make that sacrifice?
Yes, I was.
And you were willing to make that sacrifice on behalf of your children as well?
I call my children almost every day.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
How much was the plane ticket?
$159. Plus, we had to drive 4 hours away to go pick up the kids in Denver, which was gas, and we spent one night in the hotel the night before because the plane arrived a little bit before 7 in the morning.
You've got a lot of little expenses here, including, according to you, mental anguish. I can't give you mental anguish. Listen, he didn't turn into this overnight.
No, he didn't, but
okay? And you were not smart enough not to have the 2nd child with him and the 3rd child with him. Should have, figured it out right away. Any man that has 3 children that can move thousands of miles away from their 3 young children because he wants to pursue a career in education is not somebody that I would father 3 children with.
He was a responsible father up until November of 2001, and
And then what happened?
He told me that he didn't feel the same way, and everything went downhill from there.
I don't care if he doesn't feel the same way about you. He's got 3 children.
Well, it turned his look on everything, I guess.
Well, when was the last time you received $488 from him?
The full amount of $488 would be July of 2003. He paid a little bit over to catch up because for the previous 3 months there was no payment at all.
When was the last time you received any money from him?
June of this year. It was $50.
Okay. Where do your parents live?
In Alaska.
You live with them?
Yes, I live with my mother.
Mr. Brewington, I don't think you're doing the right thing, sir. I think you ought to do a lot of soul searching.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today...
Are you calling each other bad names?
Yes.
So Mr. Ewan came out?
Yes.
What did he say?
He said, "You ugly MFers need to stop making all this noise before I go get my shotgun."
Did you have a shotgun?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Christy Perryman says ex-husband Jason Brewington owes for the cost of a plane ticket. Jason says Christy owes him for the cost to visit his children.
Now, do you have a legal agreement that provides that you pay for half of the cost of the children to go to visit him?
In September of 2002, I agreed to do that on document and with the court. In August, the beginning of August, I have it stated that the magistrate ruled that I am released from all financial obligation of visitation.
Right.
And I have that paperwork.
Right. He wants to see his children? Let him get a job and make enough money to get a ticket to come and pick them up. And if he wants to take them to Alaska to see his parents, which would be a nice thing, fine. Other than that, I think that you're absolutely nuts to do it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $159. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think it was fair.
I think I was robbed.
She knows that I'm not responsible to pay for the plane tickets.
She was required to pay for half the plane ticket. She never did.
He doesn't just think I deserve any money from him.
She just wants money.
He needs to have a better relationship with his kids, all three of them.
Every opportunity I have, I spend time with them.
They are the victims.
And now the next case. 26-year-old restaurant manager Mark Sipkema is suing his ex-girlfriend, 25-year-old fast food employee Christy Sparks, and her mother, Brenda Roberts, for stealing his property when Christy moved out.
According to you, Mr. Sipkema,
Correct.
the defendant and her two children,
3 children.
3 children, moved in with you.
Correct.
You were dating
Correct.
at the time. How long had you been dating?
On and off for a little over a year and a half.
You believe that there was something that perhaps could turn into a long-term relationship with the defendant?
At the time being, yes.
Okay. You moved in with him when?
On August 29th, I think.
With your 3 children?
Right.
Shortly thereafter, Miss Sparks discovered that you were seeing your ex-girlfriend and that there was a very strong possibility that your ex-girlfriend was pregnant with your child. Is that close enough to the truth so you're going to say yes, Your Honor?
It's close enough,
Yes.
Your Honor.
Ah, okay. Suffice it to say, she was very angry.
Yes, Your Honor.
And she moved out.
Correct.
And it is your claim that when she moved out, she took some property that
Correct.
belonged to you, and in addition, with the help of her mother, that's why her mother is also a co-defendant, that her mother helped her move out and took your stuff.
Correct.
And that she destroyed a prized hat collection that you had.
It wasn't a hat collection, it was just a few hats, Your Honor.
Hats.
Yes.
So you wanted to pay you $1,000.
For everything, Your Honor, I have my evidence right here, receipts and...
When did you move out?
I moved out the following Saturday.
Tell me why.
Because when I found out that he was having a baby with the other lady, I asked him if he was going to be with me or her, and he couldn't tell me.
What did he say to you?
He said that I know what you want to hear and I know what she wants to hear, and...
He couldn't make up his mind at the time?
Right, so
Is
I
that
took
right,
it
sir?
upon
That's
myself
right.
and
You
moved
couldn't
out.
make up your mind?
Correct.
Couldn't find your mind?
I wasn't going to base my whole life experience on just this.
What?
I wasn't going to... I didn't have the answers for my whole life just that minute when she wanted it.
Well, let me ask you this question. If you were involved with Miss Sparks...
I never asked her to leave, Your Honor.
Shh. If you were involved with Miss Sparks and you thought you might want to build a life with her, how come this other lady is pregnant and you're saying to yourself, and it's probably mine?
Before she moved in, Your Honor, she knew I had been with my ex-girlfriend. That was already... She knew that already before she moved in.
Well, I'm asking you, not what she knew. I'm asking you, why?
Just make mistakes, Your Honor.
How come you invited her to live with you, sir?
They were evicted out of their place, Your Honor, and we had talked about getting a place the 1st of October. I found out the same time when she was evicted that my ex-girlfriend was pregnant. I didn't know how to tell her. After talking with my parents, they said I should wait to see if the baby was mine first.
So your parents said, why don't you wait before you discuss it with her until after the baby is born, which would be how many months?
8 months.
And then after she's lived with you for 8 months, you take a blood test. And if the baby is yours, then you have to tell
I wasn't
her.
stating the fact that I was going to wait 8 months to tell her, Your Honor. I just wasn't sure when the best time to tell her was going to be.
There is no best time.
You're right.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Mark Sipkema says his ex-girlfriend, Christy Sparks, and her mom, Brenda Roberts, stole his belongings when Christy moved out.
Now, what is it that you claim that she and her mother took when they moved out, other than her things and the 3 children's things that she moved in?
My television, a VCR.
TV, hold on, TV.
Okay. VCR.
VCR.
Stereo.
Stereo.
PlayStation 2.
PlayStation.
A phone charger for my cell phone, and that was about it.
So when you came home and after she had moved out, you found these things missing?
Correct, Your Honor.
Did you call the police?
Yes, I did.
You filed a police report?
Yes, I did.
Can I see it, please? So I gather that when you came home, you found the apartment unlocked.
Right.
And your things missing.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Sipkema, what proof do you have that the defendants took your property?
5 o'clock in the evening, I drove by my house to see her mother's van, and we're packing the belongings. Later on that evening, I got home, saw my house like it just got, of course, everything got taken from me. The key was left on the floor in the middle of the open. A bottle of bleach was left where the TV sat in the entertainment system. And in the living or bedroom, I'm sorry, there was the alarm clock was missing, but the 19-inch TV was still there. Now, if someone's going to come into your apartment and steal your things, I'm sure they're going to take a TV other than an alarm clock. They might look through your clothes. They might look through your closets. They may take the key, come back later and try to take things they couldn't get before.
So is what you're telling me, Mr. Sipkema, that you have no proof that the defendants took your property?
No actual proof.
Well, we're in an actual court. In an actual court, you need actual proof. Other than the fact that you were an unfaithful boyfriend and moved the defendant and her 3 children into your home only to discover that you had fathered another child and couldn't make up your mind between which of the 2 girlfriends that you had you wanted to be with. I mean, that's
I never
enough
wanted to be with the other one, Your Honor.
That's enough of a reason for her to move out and even perhaps do something to your things.
So it's justified stealing people's things?
No, not at all,
Right.
sir. Not at all. I'm just telling you that she had a motive.
Yes, you're right, Your Honor.
She had a motive.
You're right.
You need more than a motive. You need proof. Did you take his things?
No, I did not.
No. Did you take his things?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am. Who are you living with now, Mr.
I'm living with
Sipkema?
myself, Your Honor.
Good. And what about your ex-girlfriend and her baby?
I speak to her about once a week, see how things are going.
So you're not really involved with her either?
I was never getting back with her, Your Honor. My plans were not to get back with her. I never told her I wanted to get back with her.
You said you weren't sure what your feelings were.
I wasn't sure about me and her and if we were going to be married, like, long term. That's what she wanted to hear, Your Honor.
No.
Like she stated.
Listen, I don't care whether you marry her or not. I don't care if you marry your ex-girlfriend or not. What I'm suggesting to you is the only 3 people that are innocents in this whole thing are your 3 children. Who you uprooted from one place, you moved into another place. A week later, you moved them out. Where are they living now?
I have an apartment in Greenfield.
Okay. Well, try to stay put. How old are you?
25.
And how old are your children?
4, 2, and 10 months.
Who's the father of the 10-month-old? Is not an answer.
Pedro.
Where is he?
He lives in Greenwood.
Ever married to him?
No.
Ever married to anybody?
Yes.
Who?
Michael.
And is he the father of any of your children?
No.
So the person you were married to, you had no children with, do each of your children have different fathers?
No.
2 of them have the same father?
Yes.
And the 10-month-old has a different father?
Yes.
You did a, listen to me, you did a wonderful job.
I
That's
tried,
all.
Your Honor.
Goodbye.
Ladies are excused. You may step out.
Assembly worker Linda Sisson is suing her son's ex-girlfriend, 21-year-old banquet server Tessa Chapman, for the cost to fix her Chevy Cavalier. Tessa says the only reason she drove the vehicle was because Linda's son was drunk.
Ms. Sisson, the defendant is your son's former girlfriend.
Yes.
And according to your complaint, she drove your car and had an accident.
Yes.
You want her to pay for the damage.
Yes.
When did the accident take place?
April 3rd, 2004 at 1 a.m.
You weren't there, is that right?
We were sleeping.
So you didn't see what happened?
No, I did not.
Okay, Miss Chapman, and you say you're not responsible. Let me hear about it.
George Anderson and I were hanging out at his mother, Linda Sisson's house for
George Anderson is your son?
Yes.
A few hours later, George had asked me to drive to the store with him. While we were driving to the store, I realized he was intoxicated.
That is not
Shh,
true.
listen to me. I don't want you to say anything. You weren't there. I've asked her a question. Got it?
Yes, Your
Good.
Honor.
So you and the plaintiff's son were hanging around at her home.
Right.
When had you arrived there?
Probably at like 10 o'clock around.
10 in the morning or 10 at night?
10 at night.
And where had you been before that?
My house.
So you drove over to his house?
No, he came and picked me up.
In whose car?
His mother's car.
When he came to pick you up and you got into the car, was he intoxicated?
No.
How long did it take you to get back to his house?
About 10 minutes.
And you went directly to his house?
Yes.
At what time did you go to the store?
Like 12:30.
Between 10 p.m. or 10:10 p.m. when you arrived back at George's house and 12:30 in the morning, what were you doing?
We were watching TV and we had a couple beers each.
Where did you get the beers from?
His house.
So each of you had a couple of beers. Is that right?
Yes.
And then about 12:30, who decided to go to the store?
George.
You say in your answer that the reason you were driving was because George was drunk.
Yes.
Not according to what you tell me now. According to what you tell me now, the two of you had a couple of beers.
He must have been.
He what?
There was another girl there named Stacy, and they were off in another room for a little while also, so they could have been drinking without me knowing.
They could have been, and I could have been 5'6", but I'm not.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Linda Sisson claims her son's ex-girlfriend, Tessa Chapman, wrecked her Chevy Cavalier. Tessa says she was forced to drive because Linda's son was drunk.
So when he asked you to go to the store and you said yes, you knew that you had been drinking.
Yeah.
And you knew that he had been drinking.
Yep.
At what point did you drive?
On the way home, back to her house.
Miss Sisson, I don't want you to say no unless you were there. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And you weren't, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now tell me about the accident.
We were driving back. The ride was fine on the way back, and we got back to the house, and I went to pull into the driveway. And in their driveway, there's a little metal pipe that sticks up, and you can't really run it over, so I was backing out to straighten up the car to pull into the driveway. And the cars on the road were parked very close to the driveway, and I accidentally scraped the other car.
Now, what makes you think you're not responsible?
Because I feel as though she's suing me because I broke up with her son.
That's possible. That she decided to sue you now because you broke up with her son. There was no longer a reason for her not to pursue this remedy. My question to you is, why don't you think you're responsible? That's her motive for suing you.
Because George was drunk and I wasn't drunk on the way back from the store, driving back.
Well, Miss Chapman, you had certainly, according to you, been drinking that night.
Yeah, but 2 beers in a course of 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
And that's all you told me you saw George drink.
But he was driving very recklessly on the way to the store.
Then you can get out of the car, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who is this?
That's my mother.
Do you live at home with your mother?
No, I live at my own house.
Do you get along with your mother?
Yes, but she lives...
Does she live in the same town that
Nope.
you do? Do you have other people that you know in town?
Mm-hmm.
So that if he was driving, according to you, recklessly on his way to the store, then you say, George, I'm not going to get back into the car with you. And you call a taxi to take you home. But if you get behind the wheel of her car and you have an accident and you've had alcohol that night, you're responsible. And the fact that she may not have pursued this matter while you were with her son, and now you're no longer with him because where is he? Drug rehab, he's in jail, where is he?
He's in rehab, getting treatment.
Good, I'm glad. How much was the damage to your car?
It was $1,300, which I had to pay a $500 deductible. And when I found out about the accident, the doorbell rang at 7 o'clock in the morning.
I don't care how you found out about the accident.
Well, she admitted to me, Tessa admitted to me that morning when I woke them up to find out what happened to my car, and she apologized because my son came out and told Tessa to tell me that he's not taking the rap because he didn't do the damages, and she did
No, he's a prince.
And she did the damages.
He's a prince. How old is your son?
22.
How long has he had a drug problem?
Maybe about three weeks prior.
You're in denial, madam. What kind of work was he doing?
He was in and out of jobs.
Had he been arrested previous to his current rehab?
Yes.
For what?
For a stolen vehicle.
Yes. What else?
False identification.
What else?
Counterfeit money.
She doesn't get a free ride. She should not have gotten in the car with him. She should not have been driving that night. She is responsible for your out-of-pocket expenses. And if I had a kid who was in this much trouble, I would have taken my car keys and locked them up in a safe to make sure that he didn't use them. Right?
Yes.
Good. So, you got to pay her deductible, Miss Chapman. It's your responsibility. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
21-year-old office manager Jamie Slovic is suing her ex-boyfriend, 24-year-old construction worker Roman Jimenez, for unpaid rent, damaged property, and the return of household items belonging to her.
Miss Slovic, you and the defendant lived together. Take your hands out of your pockets. You and the defendant lived together for a period of time.
Yes.
There was an altercation between the two of you, and you claimed that Mr. Jimenez moved out. And when he moved out, he took with him a whole bunch of furniture that you had purchased on your credit card that you either paid for or are still paying for. In addition, you claim he owes you for half a month's rent and some eviction costs because you were ultimately evicted from the apartment. Mr. Jimenez says that you really locked him out of the apartment because you called the police, so stop complaining that he owes you any rent because he couldn't live there. He doesn't, however, address the issue of the furniture, which I will get to. So when did you and Mr. Jimenez live together, Ms.
We lived together for 3 months.
Starting when?
Starting from June of 2003 to October of 2003. And the reason why he had to move out is because it was court-ordered, or police report ordered, that he moved out of the apartment. I didn't...
Just a second.
Okay.
That order was issued as a result of a complaint, correct?
Yeah.
And the complainant in that complaint was who?
Me.
Right. Well, that's pretty much what he's saying. He's saying he had to leave the apartment because you complained, which resulted in a court order putting him out of the apartment. So he's right. Right?
Okay.
Oh.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She said all I had to do was cook for her because I like to cook. She said all I do was cook for her, and that was cool. I like to cook.
Just a second. Would you run that past me again in English and slowly, please?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jamie Slovic says, when ex-boyfriend Roman Jimenez moved out, he took her belongings with him. Roman says Jamie was physically abusive.
Now let's get to the furniture.
Okay. When we lived together, we had nothing, and we purchased big pictures for the walls, a couch and a coffee table that we got before we moved in there, a dining room table, and a bed that we purchased while we were living there. All this stuff that, you know, we were supposed to be living together to pay off together. He had no credit, so we did everything on my credit. He couldn't get approved anywhere.
So far, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. When you moved out, did you take the furniture with you?
I took my furniture with me.
What did you take?
I took my pictures.
Pictures. Were those pictures that were purchased on her credit card?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, then how could you take the pictures if she paid for them?
Well, because I gave her some money too, and you know, she spent the money on that stuff, and I spent my money like on food and going out and stuff like that.
Going out.
We ate a lot. We ate good food.
Going out without me.
Shh. Don't talk to him.
Okay.
What else did you take with you, sir?
Pictures, pots, pans, some sofas. Oh.
Some what?
Oh, I took a futon, like a sort of recliner futon.
Pictures, pots, and pans.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
I have pictures and pots and pans. What other furniture did you take with you, sir?
I didn't take the furniture because the furniture was broken.
So you took nothing else but pictures and pots and pans. Is that what you're telling me?
That's correct.
What happened to the futon you told me about a couple of seconds ago?
Oh, it was kind of broken.
Did you take it?
Pieces of it.
Do you suffer from a mental disability?
No,
unfortunately, Mr. Jimenez, I'm not kidding.
No, I don't suffer from a mental disability.
Then when I ask you a question, I want you to think about the answer, and I want you to give me an answer that's truthful. Pictures, pots and pans, and a futon sofa. Is that right?
The mattress. I took the mattress.
Took the mattress. And was that something that was purchased after you moved into the apartment?
Yes, it was.
So the pictures, the pots and pans, the futon, and the mattress were things that were purchased with the plaintiff's credit card that she paid for or is paying for, and you took?
Correct. It was my...
Perfect! How much were those things?
Everything that he left me with is way beyond $5,000.
Listen, it's not what I asked you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
He says he took pictures. Do you have the bill for the pictures?
This top one right here is one of the pictures.
And how much was that?
$47.99.
What else? Give me the figure.
Okay, figures $16.99, $15.99, $14.99, and $69.99.
How much was the futon?
I don't have the receipt just for the futon.
Oh, fine. So then forget that. Now, mattress. How much was it? He took it with him.
$580, I think, for just the mattress.
Go. Mattress, futon, pots and pans.
$256.20.
$256. $940.
Okay.
Now, listen to me, Mr. Jimenez. You cannot take property that was being paid for by the plaintiff because you wanted it.
She said all I had to do was cook for her because I like to cook. She said all I had to do was cook for her, and it was cool. I like to cook.
Just a second. Would you run that past me again in English and slowly, please?
Okay, she said that all I had to do was cook some good food, and it was cool. Don't worry about it, baby, and that was it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You have children?
Yeah, I have one son.
How old is he? How old is he?
He's 5 years old.
You have children?
No.
Very good. Miss Slovak.
Drama.
You know, sometimes you make a mistake, and what you have to do is you have to put a period and move on. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. You're a young girl. He's worthless. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Okay. He used you.
Yep.
You took care of his son?
Yes, I did.
Mm.
Once in a while. She went to the park with him once in a while.
You have to look up and say, thank you, Lord, because I was shown the light early enough before I had a child with him, or maybe two, before he totally ruined my credit, before he wasted the best years of my life. So you really should say thank you. And next time, store the information in your head and exercise better judgment. Right?
Right. Yes.
Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $940. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Office Assistant Kimberly Perez is suing her daughter's schoolmate, 13-year-old Brianna Snyder, and her mother, homemaker Stacy Pandolino Miadors, for the cost of a missing cell phone. Kimberly says her daughter loaned the phone to Brianna, who in turn loaned it to her friend.
Who's Desiree?
Right here.
Could you step up, please? And you're Brianna?
Yes.
All right. The two mothers can sit down. I don't need you
Yes,
here
Your Honor.
for this. Thank you. All right. Desiree, you were in school.
Yes, ma'am.
You had a cell phone.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what happened.
School was over. We were all hanging out outside. She came up to me and asked if her friend could use it, and Yesenia Hernandez.
And you said?
I said, yeah, and I walked over there with her and gave him the cell phone.
Gave who the cell phone?
Krista.
And?
And then she used it, and I was over standing a couple feet away talking to some friends, and then she went up to Brianna, or Krista, and said, Desi said I can use her cell phone, and then she walked away with it.
What?
I went up to Desiree and asked if I could use her cell phone, and she said I could.
Just a second. What you say in your answer is, you went up to Desiree and asked if you could use her cell phone.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that what happened?
Yes, Your Honor.
And she said?
Yes.
And did you use her cell phone?
Yes, Your Honor.
Who did you call?
I called my grandmother and my mom.
Okay. Did she call you from the cell phone?
Yes, she did.
Good. And then what did you do?
And then I remember giving it back to her.
That's not what you say in your answer. So get it together. You said in your answer, I used the cell phone, and then my friend asked if they could make a call too. You remember saying that?
Yes.
Now you remember that?
Yes.
Better? And you let your friend have the phone.
Yes, because she said they could.
Just a minute. That's what you said. You said then you gave the phone. You want me to read it to you, what you said? You said, quote, I passed the phone to my friends and left school. That's what you wrote. Is that true?
Yes, Your Honor.
I know you're 100% sure that it's true.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you say, I have no idea who had it last after I left school.
Yes, Your Honor.
Right? So your defense is, it's not my fault. My two other friends had the phone. Let her go find out where the phone is. That's your defense. Wrong! Step up. Do you understand why she's wrong?
No, Your Honor.
Well, maybe I can help you, because I gather you don't understand why she's wrong. So maybe I can give you a lesson. Do you want a car?
Yes, I do.
Do you have a best friend?
Yes, I do.
What's your best friend's name? You don't have to think so hard. If you have a best friend, your best friend has to have a name, madam. What's your best friend's name?
Becky.
Becky? Becky comes to you and says, Stacy, I have an emergency. Can I borrow your car for a half hour, right?
Yes.
Say, sure, you know, my best friend. Take the car keys and you give her the car. You say, use it, you know, just bring it back. And Becky leaves, takes the car, and when she's out, she finishes her emergency, and she runs into her friend, Charlie. Charlie says, you know what? You got a car, I really need a car. Could I borrow the car to go to OTB? And your best friend, Becky, says, sure, take the car. And he takes the car and he wraps it around the tree. You think Becky's responsible for your car?
Yes.
Of course. Because you loaned the car to
Becky.
She loaned the phone to your daughter. Your daughter had the responsibility of returning the phone to her. She didn't do it. Now do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Perfect. How much did you pay for the phone?
It was $199.99, Your Honor.
Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Eye care professional Monica Ng is suing her one-time golf partner, technical consultant Steve Riley, for medical and dental bills. Monica says she was hit in the face by Steve's golf ball.
Missing, according to your complaint, you were playing golf and you were in a foursome?
Yes.
And Mr. Riley was in your foursome?
Yes.
And you got hit with a golf ball that he sliced. You want him to pay for all of your medical bills, you had dental problems, et cetera, et cetera. And Mr. Riley says, sometimes happens when you play golf. Not every shot's a perfect shot. It's part of the risk you assume when you play the game. That's your defense.
Yes, ma'am.
When did this happen, Miss Ng?
On January 31st at the Lakewood Country Club.
And how long have you been playing golf with Mr. Riley?
I've never played with him before.
So you were teamed up that day?
By the starter at the country club.
What hole were you playing when this incident happened?
The 9th hole.
And who teed off first?
The guys teed off first, and then I teed off last because I tee off from the ladies' tees.
After you teed off, everyone left the tee, is that right?
Yes, we all walked to our balls.
And was your ball in front of Mr. Riley's ball?
It was horizontal, diagonal to his ball.
And he shot first?
Yes.
And you were watching him?
Yes, I was watching him the whole time.
Why didn't you stand behind where he was?
For slow play, any reasonable experienced golfer would walk to their ball so that you don't delay play, because slow play is the #1 problem with golfing.
No, the number one problem with golfing is getting hit with a golf ball.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Monica Ing says golf partner Steve Riley owes for medical and dental bills. Monica says they were on the 9th hole when Steve's golf ball hit her in the face.
So when I was reading your complaint, and I've been out on a golf course, although I am not a proficient golfer, since I don't know who I'm playing with, as you didn't know who you were playing with, and you're not sure of their skill, I wouldn't get into a position where you were anywhere in harm's way. I would stand well behind that person.
I felt I was not standing in a location where I was in harm's way.
But you were, right? Because you didn't play golf with him before. You didn't know whether he was a good player or a bad player, whether he sliced, whether he was straight, whatever. But you don't think that you have any responsibility to worry about yourself?
Yes, I have the responsibility to worry about myself, but I was standing in a location next to my ball. I was watching him the whole time.
You think he aimed at you?
No, he did not aim at me. It was an accident, but still, he's liable for any damages or injury caused by his actions, as stated in the golf course rules at the Lakewood Country Club.
Well, I'll take a look at the rules of the Lakewood Country Club and see what they say.
Safety practices.
Let me see what the safety practices are. Yeah, well, this says that any person entering or playing on the golf course assumes full responsibility for his or her personal safety. That's you. And property. Players are liable for any accident, injury, and/or property damage caused by their actions. Well, you're saying that his actions caused you to be injured.
Correct.
I'm saying your actions caused you to be injured. Miss Ing, my dear, when you play golf, there's a golf ball. That golf ball doesn't always go where it's supposed to go. Have you watched professionals play golf?
Yes.
Have you seen professionals sometimes slice their ball and it goes into a gallery?
Yes.
You think that they're liable if their ball hits somebody? They're not. Players not liable. That's what the game is about. Somebody hits a very hard ball. Sometimes it goes where it's supposed to go. Sometimes it doesn't go where it's supposed to go. If it always went where it was supposed to go, nobody would watch the game.
We have a verbal agreement after the injury. He was very apologetic for hitting me.
Yes.
And he gave me a cellular number so I can contact him so that I can get his home address to mail him the medical expenses.
Did you say that you would cover the medical expenses, Mr. Riley?
What I said was that if she wanted to go to the emergency room right then, I would help her with expenses. I did not say I would cover a week off of work. I did not say...
Absolutely not.
Right.
You're not responsible for a week off from work. You're not responsible for her pain and suffering. You're not responsible for any of that.
Right.
So did you give him the medical bill from the emergency room?
I had not received it yet when I wrote him that certified letter.
Fine. What was your bill from the emergency room? $602 with the emergency bills. Is that right, sir? Now that you agreed to pay, according to you.
Yes.
Fine. Anything else?
Yes. A few months later, I noticed the back of my tooth was swollen, and I went to the dentist, and that's when they told me that I have ligament damage due to trauma.
Could be. That's not what he agreed to pay for. He agreed to pay for your emergency room bills. But for the fact that he agreed to pay for the emergency room bills, he would not be responsible. You assumed the risk when you got on the golf course of whatever happens when you play golf, unless, of course, he picked up his club and flung the club in anger, or if he hit you with his club, or if he ran you over with a golf cart. That you don't assume the risk, but you do assume the risk that somebody may not hit the ball straight, so you have to make sure that you don't put yourself in harm's way. And if being in a position where you were a little bit of a slow player is more important than keeping yourself out of harm's way, that's a choice that you make. He can't guarantee where his golf ball's going to go. If he could, he'd be Tiger Woods' partner, right?
Absolutely.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $602. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Retired engineer Tom Farrell is suing his daughter's former guardian, property manager Victoria Monaco for the return of money given towards child care expenses. Victoria is countersuing for unpaid rent and additional expenses.
Mr. and Mrs. Farrell, I assume this is your daughter. Tell me your first name.
Marcy.
Marcy. Stand up next to your folks. Marcy, I have a couple of questions for you.
Yes.
How old are you?
15.
Well, Marcy was going through a difficult teenage period. And according to your complaint, after several failed attempts at other arrangements, you found the defendant who indicated she was prepared to let Marcy live with her. The arrangement was that she would be paid $50 a week. You advanced her $1,000. Marcy stayed how many weeks?
I stayed about 2 weeks before I went to a residence.
To a residence?
Residential. It's a part of my program.
Stayed 2 weeks, and you want the rest of your money back. That's what the case is about.
Yeah.
Ms. Monaco says that, yes, you advanced her the $1,000, but during the time that your daughter was with her for that 2-week period, she spent a heck of a lot more than $1,000, and she's counterclaiming for $1,600 for a variety of things. How did you find Ms. Monaco?
We met about 4 years ago. We lived in the same area. Our children went to school together.
This is her son?
Yes.
So the kids were friendly?
Correct.
Okay.
So when the time came, Marcy, I think, initially spoke with the defendant about staying with her. They'd always gotten along well together. We'd always gotten along well together. I met with Vicki. We talked about it. We agreed on $50 a week for housing and food. She indicated that was more than enough. My wife and I would pay for all other expenses, schooling, education, transportation, medical, whatever else needed. That was only for food and housing. After the 2-week period, things weren't working out. Marcy had to go to residence, which is part of the EDIP program that she's in through the juvenile justice system. So when it was time to come back, the defendant was in the arrangements of moving her household, looking for a new place to live. She said at the time that the reason for that was she had an abusive relationship with her boyfriend, trying to get away from him, needed some front money to get on with her life. So we were willing to advance her the $1,000 so that she could get a head start, get out of there and all that. The 2 weeks that Marcy was there, we'd already paid her that $100 for. We were even at that point in time.
So you'd already given her the $100 for the 2 weeks, and this was $1,000, an advance of $1,000.
Was an advance for, after she got moved into the new home, everything was settled there. She was going to let us know when that was. We were going to get Marcy moved back over there and start life as we hoped it would be a good situation. And then we never heard from her.
Now, they paid you the $100 pursuant to agreement, $50 a week for the time that Marcy was with you, and they advanced you $1,000. Why shouldn't they get it back?
Your Honor, they did not give me $100. And the $1,000 that he did give me that I received was for first, last, and security to move into a home. So Tom and Barbara have not given me anything towards taking care of Marcy.
Just 1 second. How many people moved into your new home?
Well, there was myself, my son Marco, and my boyfriend. He would come and go.
Well, then why in the world would they? You have 2 adults and your child. Why in the world are they responsible for your first, last, and security?
They're not responsible for all of it.
So why don't you give them their $1,000 back?
Your Honor, they were going to pay for half of it.
What?
It cost $2,700 to move in.
Shh, listen to me. Why would they pay anything towards your moving in to a new residence with yourself, a very tall, able-bodied boyfriend who wears a lot of gold jewelry, and your 13-year-old son? Miss Monaco, you explain that to me.
Marcy was with me in the home.
So what?
Well, he agreed to pay and help me in a better home, which he states right in here.
Well, you show me where he agreed to pay for
I can show you where...
last, and security.
No, it's not stated like that. It's stated for a better home.
Let me see it. This says, after a week of negotiating, we met at Wachovia Bank on 5504 and signed a contract for a prepayment of child care for our daughter so the defendant could move into a better home. So what he's saying here is he agreed to give you $1,000 advance because you needed cash to move into this new home And that money would be offset for the $50 a week that he had agreed to give you for the support of his daughter. You get it? That's what this says, if that's what you're showing me. Don't go like this. That's what it says. Now, you have a contract?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see it, please?
We also have a copy of $100 check.
No,
Oh, we didn't have that.
Okay.
You need to get that other stuff, too.
This says, Vicky's previous boyfriend, that's him, Ramon, shall be excluded from contact with Vicky or her family by means of a restraining order while Marcy is in her custody. That's what you signed. If Marcy is away from Vicky's custody or residence for any reason for periods of a week or more, the balance of the child care prepayment must be returned to the Farrells at the rate of $50 a week. Don't you read?
Yes, I do.
Well, explain that to me.
I'm trying to explain to you, Your Honor, that $1,000 was for a better home.
Listen to me.
Okay.
That's not what this says. It's signed, it's notarized by a notary public. That's not what your contract says.
Isn't my housing part of child care? Wouldn't my housing be part of child care?
Just a minute. Doesn't she understand the rules? The rules are I ask the questions, you answer the questions.
Okay.
Madam, you signed it. So you must know more about Ramon than I do.
At that time, I was under a lot of pressure, and I knew that I wasn't going to put a restraining order. I don't believe it was so mandatory that that be done at that time because Marcy was in the home with Ramon 3 weeks prior to Tom and I even sitting down and discussing this.
Why did you sign this agreement? So, you have to give them back their $1,000. And in addition, you have a counterclaim for a whole bunch of nonsense that she did damage to your stove. You want moving costs because you moved with the lovely Ramon into a house and that they should pay for it. You want a whole bunch of things. Let me suggest this to you. Get a job. And so should Ramon. Pay your own bills, pay your own expenses, take care of your own selves, take care of your own children. Your counterclaim is dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. Goodbye and good luck.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Step out.
Plaintiff Frida Cubis is suing hypnotherapist Donna Arlene for a refund of her fee. Frida says she retained Donna's services in an attempt to quit smoking.
Your Honor, this is case number 231 on the calendar, the matter of Cubis versus Arlene. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Miss Arlene, are you a licensed hypnotherapist?
I'm a certified hypnotherapist, yes.
Certified.
Yes.
Is that what they do?
Yes, there's not a license for hypnotherapy in this state.
Is that the state of California?
The state of California, yes.
And how long have you been a certified hypnotherapist?
For 9 years, Your Honor.
According to what I've read in your complaint, Ms. Cubas, you sought the defendant's services in order to help you stop smoking.
That's correct.
And you are suing her because not only didn't you stop smoking, but you say that she should be responsible for other stress that she put you through because of some vision that she had while she was treating you. Where did you find Miss Arlene?
I found her out of the Yellow Pages, Your Honor.
How long have you been a smoker?
Probably 45 years.
So you figured it was time you stopped?
My sister died of cancer last year, and I desperately wanted to quit. And so I discussed it with my husband about going to see a hypnotherapist because I had been under so much stress and wanted to quit so badly that out of sheer desperation, I called this ad in the paper.
Do you have the copy of the ad?
Yes, out of the... Yes, I do. I explained to her my situation, and she told me that it was $295 and that she was 95% effective. The other 5% is usually people that smoke 3 to 4 packs a day. So I felt pretty secure in going to her, and she said, I have an appointment open at 12:30. This was at 11 o'clock. She said, can you be here? I live 50 miles away, but yes, I did go. And when I got there, I asked her how long had she been a hypnotherapist. She said 8 years. After this discussion, she asked me if I wanted to go ahead with it, and I said yes. So she proceeded to hypnotize me, and during this hypnotizing thing, the only thing she said pertaining to smoking was, when I want a cigarette, say to myself, I think I want a cigarette, but not now. Maybe later. Instead, I'll have a handful of grapes. Well, Your Honor, I ate so many grapes, I was having other problems.
Just a second. Just a second. She never promised you anything other than to stop smoking.
She promised me I wouldn't gain weight.
No.
But anyway, she told me after this session, she told me I had to give up Dr. Pepper, sugar, cream, milk, and I drink lots of water. I have a list of the things she told me to take.
Just a second. What date was that, by the way?
That was on July 12th.
Okay, so on July 12th you went there and you were smoking up until the time you got to her office, I assume.
Yes.
When you left her office on July 12th, you tell me that you ate a lot of grapes the next day.
Oh, yes.
But you didn't smoke.
Yes, I did smoke, Your Honor.
How much did you smoke the next day?
I smoked maybe 6 or 8 cigarettes.
Which is a lot less than you would smoke previously.
Yes, but I...
Okay. When were you supposed to go back?
I was to go back Wednesday on the 13th, or 14th. I was to go back July 14th.
So supposed to skip a day. Did you go back on the 14th?
Yes, I did.
What happened when you went back on the 14th?
I had complained to her about my bladder hurting me, and I had told her that I was still smoking. And she said it was probably the toxins emptying out of my body that was bothering my bladder. And she told me that I looked scattered. And I said, it's because I'm still smoking and I'm upset. And she says, well, it's going to take more than the 2 sessions and it'll take a week. She said, give me a chance. So she calmed me down and took me back and did the same thing almost that she did the first session. So I left there feeling a little more calmer. And I was to go back the following day on a Thursday. And when I got there that time, Your Honor, we went back to the therapy room. And the first thing she did was ask me if I knew of anyone with a man with an oval face, a beard, long hair, and lots of wrinkles. And I said, no. And she said, well, could it have been your deceased son? And I said, no, my son was young, and he didn't have a beard. And she said, well, I didn't get a real good look, but she said it may have just had a mustache, because I told her my son had a mustache. The day before, she did something to me during hypnosis, of doing something with her hands. I didn't quite understand what it was. She said she realized that she had not done my feet, so she went back to do my feet. And she said when she went to do my feet, she turned and she saw this image that she had described to me, grimacing and cringing in my solar plexus.
In your stomach?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And she said she wasn't going to tell me, but she talked to her psychic daughter, and her daughter said she felt like she should discuss this with me. Well, before the last session, she asked me if it was possible during this hypnosis session if we communicated with this entity. And I said, well, sure. I mean, I felt, what the heck's going on? I said, what could it be? So during hypnosis, she would tap me on the forehead, and she'd say, now ask this person who they are and why they're here. So I said, who are you and why you're here? And no answer. And she tapped me again for this person to answer me. And this just went on, tapping me. So at the end, I asked him, would he go away or something like that. I couldn't remember it all, but when I came out, she said, well, he did say he would go away. So we got up, the session was over. I was sort of dazed, and I even hugged her and invited her to my home. And then when I got to my truck, I just sat there for a while, and I was thinking, my God, I'm possessed.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
There are some people that believe in these psychic sightings and some people that don't.
It frightened me.
I've never had that happen to me.
And later today,
he threw Mrs. Yeager's son up in the air, and he didn't catch him. And he fell and broke both arms.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Frida Cuba says hypnotherapist Donna Arlene failed at getting her to quit smoking. She wants her money back.
Miss Cubas, what is it that you are suing Miss Arlene for?
Originally, Your Honor, I asked her for a refund so I could go to another hypnotist, someone that would hypnotize me to stop smoking and not do psychic things to me.
And what did she say?
I wasn't the one that asked her for the refund. My husband did.
You asked her for the refund?
Yes,
When did you call her, Mr. Cubas?
I believe I called her on the 21st of July, Your Honor.
Tell me about your conversation.
I explained to her that Frida was very upset and very frightened by the prognosis that she had given about the entity that was in her solar plexus. And I told her we didn't believe in that kind of thing, and I told her that I felt that Frida was entitled to a refund.
And what did she say to you?
She then said, look, I don't give refunds.
Okay. All right, Ms. Harley, I don't believe that based upon the fact that Ms. Cubas may still be smoking, that she is entitled to her money back. She didn't guarantee you that you would stop smoking. She said there's a 95% chance. Well, you may fit into that 5%. Certainly, those people that use gum, patches, pills, all the things that you can get by either prescription or over the counter, if they were 100% effective, then nobody in this country should or probably would be smoking. But the truth of the matter is, some people are successful with them and some people are not. It depends upon a lot of variables. The only question that I have is you signed on for hypnotherapy to stop smoking. I want you to get to this vision.
Okay. Well, on the second session, when Frida came in, we did the session, and many times if I feel a person is troubled or there's negative energy around them, I do a clearance with my hands just of the energy around them before they leave. So I did that. I just brought my hands just to clear the energy around them. Okay? So I just did the clearing the energy, and as I came down to the end and went to brush away from her feet, I saw this entity. It just was, what I saw was just a circle with a man's face that looked grimacing. And it kind of surprised me because I've never had that happen to me. So when I went home that evening, I explained it to my daughter who has psychic abilities. And I just said, you know, something happened today and I'm concerned about it. So I explained to her what I saw, and she goes, I wonder why they would choose to show you that there. And I said, I don't know. And she goes, well, maybe you can help her by telling her, but ask her a couple of questions first. Ask her if she's been having a lot of pain in her solar plexus. Before that, when we first had the consultation, she had shared with me that she had used a psychic over the internet before, and we had talked about being an open spirit. So I asked her these questions, and then I told her, I said, I saw something, and I'm a little reluctant to say anything to you, but since we've talked about this before, I thought maybe it might help you if I shared it with you. It's up to you. And she goes, well, sure. Go ahead. We're both spiritual people. And I said, okay. So I explained to her what I'd seen. And I said, you know, I can't tell you anything about it because it's never happened to me before. I don't know. And
you weren't at that point, and certainly Ms. Cubas doesn't suggest at that point that you were using this as a ploy to get you to become a steady psychic customer.
I'm not sure of that, Your Honor. She did tell me I could come back.
That's different. Did she or did she not, Ms. Cubas, say to you, this has never happened to me before?
I don't remember her saying that because she frightened me so badly.
Okay. You did, Ms. Cubas, however, tell me that she asked you whether you wanted her to share with you this vision that she had had, and you said yes.
Yes, that's correct.
And you also, according to you, when you left, hugged her. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
So what is it that makes you suggest, I mean, there are some people that believe in these psychic sightings and some people that don't. I can't put myself into the head of either one of those groups. But what is it that suggests to you that Miss Arlene was a charlatan?
Because I did not go to her for psychic treatment or that. I went to her to stop smoking. Not once during that session did she say anything to me about not smoking except to eat the grapes when I felt like not having a cigarette. Nothing was ever suggested to me to quit smoking or any suggestions or anything. When she told me about this psychic thing, she said, do you know anyone with an oval face, wrinkles, long hair, and a beard? And I thought to myself,
you already told me that. That's
no!
Not my, you already told me that. Ms. Cubas, you don't have a viable lawsuit against the defendant. She is a certified hypnotherapist. She's been practicing for 8 years. That's her treatment plan. It didn't work for you. And the fact that she had this vision, I assume it was legitimate, or at least she perceived it to be legitimate. She asked you whether you wanted her to reveal it to you. You said yes. She did not follow through. I assume that she told you that Her daughter has psychic ability. She discussed it with her daughter. Her daughter said it's a good thing to share with her. She shared it with you. She asked you, I'm speaking, she asked you whether or not you wanted her to share it with you. Have you gone to another hypnotherapist since?
No.
No. Are you still smoking?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, we're talking about a long time ago. How come you didn't go to somebody else?
Because it frightened me. I wanted to wait to see if I could get to find somebody reputable or that wouldn't do the psychic. Your Honor, she did not ask me anything except if I would like to communicate with this thing after she told me about it.
Miss Cubas, 2 seconds ago you told me that you didn't remember. Now what you're telling me is you remember, and what she said to you was, do you wish me to find out what this person is, who this person is? And you said, yes.
And this was after
just
she
a
had
second. And you said, yes. You didn't say to her, no, I don't believe in that stuff. I think there's a lot of baloney. I'm here to stop smoking. You said,
yes.
Yes. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
That's one of the best ways to quit smoking.
When I wanted a cigarette, just say,
play a better game of golf.
I think I want a cigarette.
Get rid of fears, phobias.
But not now, later.
Pass tests, do public speaking.
I think I'll have a handful of grapes.
I never told her to eat grapes.
Well, how many grapes can one person eat before they start having other problems?
And now the next case. Construction foreman Steve McMahon is suing his estranged wife, Secretary Cheryl McMahon, for flooding his boat when she sprayed it with her jet ski. Steve says he's been separated from Cheryl for 9 years.
Yeah, this is case number 265 on the calendar in the matter of McMahon versus McMahon. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Mr. McMahon, how long have you and the defendant been married?
11 years before separation.
Altogether, how many years have you been married?
20 years.
And how long has it been since the two of you lived together?
9.
You have children?
Yes.
How many children?
1.
How old is that child?
He's 17.
Your complaint says that your wife flooded your boat while she was out on the lake. Your boat was out on the lake, and she decided to sort of vandalize your boat while she was in her wave runner. That's what the case is about, that she seized the motor because she flooded the boat, and you want her to pay for the damage to the boat. But I have a few questions before I get there. When I read in your complaint that you and the defendant were separated for almost 10 years, I wondered why two people, if they're separated for almost 10 years, are not divorced.
Well, it was filed in 96, and...
Who filed for divorce in 1996?
I did.
Okay.
So it's gone on for mostly assets, whose is what it's worth. It's gone to mediation, status conference hearings year after year. We're presently mediation. They should have the following report. Should be ended.
Are you a very
month.
rich man?
No, ma'am.
Are you a very rich woman?
No.
Well, then what are we arguing about?
I don't know.
What are we arguing about?
Well, we had quite a bit of assets.
Like what?
We had a business together. We had been together for 20 years, so...
No, you haven't been together for 20 years. You've been together 11 years.
Well, we lived together for a few years before, but we had vehicles and a lot of assets through our business.
Miss McMahon, how old are you?
I'm 48.
So that at the time that you and your husband separated, you were 39 years old. Is that right? A young woman. And you want a divorce?
Yes.
How old are you?
50.
You have a girlfriend?
Yes.
Is that this lady?
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been together?
4 years now.
You have a boyfriend?
Yes, I do.
How long have you been together?
About a year.
It's time.
Yes, ma'am.
I know. You two people are taking that very precious window. If you think of it this way, you're close to 50. For almost 20% of your life, you've been feuding. I mean, if you think about it. If you think about the fact that you don't grow up really until you're 20, and you're almost 50, that means for almost a third of your life, you've been feuding. You, a little less than that. Is that ridiculous? Ridiculous! Do you have lawyers?
Yes, ma'am.
You have a lawyer?
Not anymore, because I've spent so much money on attorneys.
Right! Crazy people. All right. Tell me about this flooding of your boat.
Well, as in the police report, We spend a year every year at the river for 10 days.
Who does?
My girlfriend and myself. So on the second day of our vacation, I went for a boat ride in the morning, and the boat wasn't running right, so I was adjusting the idle. The next thing I know, a wall of water hits me, almost knocks me out of the boat, and the engine locks up.
And that was your wife?
Yes.
And did you see how she sprayed your boat and you with a wall of water?
Well, at the time I didn't see it because I was working on the engine, but when everything cleared and settled down, I looked, and there she was on the wave runner with her soon-to-be daughter-in-law. And I yelled at her, I said, "You idiot, you have no idea what you've just done." And she says, "He happens at the river," and drove off.
Nice.
Very nice.
And your boat was damaged?
Very much so, yes.
Tell me about it.
Well, after the bilge pumps came on, we had to bail the water out to keep it from sinking because it's been swamped before by bigger boats and it sank, so she knew what she was doing. We put it on the trailer. We had to walk on the trailer because the engine didn't run.
You have a picture of this boat?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see it, please? While I'm looking at it, how big is this river?
It's 17 miles long from dam to dam.
So it's a big river.
Yes, Colorado River.
You just happened to find yourself in the same place at the same time?
No, the mediator explained to us that he let her know we were going on vacation and weren't available for a court appearance. And I think it was intentional that she was there at the same time we were.
Oh, so you had a court appearance?
Yes, and we canceled because of our vacation and our work schedules. We went to the river and we missed the court date, and obviously he told her that where we were going to be.
How long in advance was this court date scheduled?
Probably 60 days.
So 2 months?
Yeah.
And you had to pick that time to go on vacation? Don't you want to get this whole process over with?
Oh, I'd love to.
So why'd you go on vacation when you had a court appearance?
Well, because we weren't ready for the status conference hearing. The mediator wasn't ready, wasn't done with his report.
Like what? What did you need?
Well, I needed him to finish his report, and he couldn't finish it.
Finish his report about what?
About the business assets. We had an auto repair business that lasted a whole year and a half, and Mrs. McMahon thinks it's worth millions of dollars.
And did you sell it?
No. Just closed
Well,
the
what do you
doors
think
on it.
happened to the business?
He actually moved the business to his residence.
Yeah.
In Carlsbad from our business in Oceanside. The lot that we had there was over an acre lot, so he had plenty of room to do auto repairs.
You're not talking about, you know, Boeing.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He sued me for paternity on our son.
Oh, you thought that it might not be your child?
Biologically, he's not my child. No.
Oh, my goodness, how you people screwed up your lives. I just can't believe it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Steve McMahon says his estranged wife, Cheryl McMahon, flooded his boat, nearly sinking it. Cheryl says the incident was instigated by Steve's anger.
Madam, you're talking about, at best, a little mom-and-pop operation out of his house. Is that what you are holding hope of getting millions of dollars out of?
No. What I hope to is to get a loan paid off that Mr. McMahon made for this business. That was my hopes.
Okay, and is it a loan that you're responsible for?
Both of us are responsible for it.
Have you been paying it?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you been paying it?
Yes, I paid up to 97 or 98.
Well, that's a long time ago. Who's been paying it since 97?
I don't know.
I have.
You have?
Yes.
How much?
It's like $19,000 I've paid against it.
Since 1997?
Yes.
Do you know that?
Well, the loan was only for $20,000, and we paid on it for almost 2 years before that. So I.
Yeah, but you know that could have been interest. You know, now she says
No, there was no
said,
interest. It was
shh. Listen to me. What she says is she just wants to be absolved of at least half of this debt.
May I respond?
Yeah, sure.
This is why we're going through all these years of court proceedings, because all the receipts and checks and canceled, everything we present in the matter of this loan is fraudulent. So it goes on.
Just 1 second.
On.
You have $19,000 that she said she's paid so far. Anything else owing on the loan?
Yes, ma'am.
How much?
I think it's about $7,000 or $8,000 right now.
What is that, just interest?
It was a 15-year loan, and our payments were $225 a month.
Okay, so the first couple of years you paid Mr. McMahon, forget it. You know, I mean, that's ancient history. Okay? There's this big piece left. Why don't you just cut it in half and say this was a marital debt, over, finished. Pay it and goodbye. Did you pay a lawyer more than $15,000 over the last 9 years?
Actually, I couldn't answer that question because I haven't got a bill from him, but I'm sure it's going to be expensive.
Ma'am?
What?
It cost him $13,000 to take me to court for paternity.
Take you to court for what paternity?
He sued me for paternity on our son.
Oh, you thought that it might not be your child? Is that what you're telling me?
Biologically, he's not my child, no.
Was that established in the paternity test?
Because the way the law is written in California, if you raise a child over 2 years, he automatically becomes your responsibility.
Have you been supporting him?
Yes.
Well, oh my goodness, how you people screwed up your lives. I just can't believe it. And I have a sense that if I saw you back here in 10 years, you're going to be in the same spot. Just frittering away your whole lives over spite and meanness and nastiness and stupidity. Instead of just putting a period and moving on and saying, listen, I have a chance to have the rest of my life free and clear, let me just do it. All this is money, and it's not major money, it's just, I've been paying it anyway, let me just get over it. Here's some money, here's my half, goodbye and good luck, let me have a happy life. Listen, how did it come about that you flooded his boat? You flooded his boat, right?
I did get water on his boat, yes.
Good, okay. So now you're going to tell me how it came about that you flooded his boat.
Well, on August 13th, and to get back to the vacation, I vacationed out there that week because it's my birthday week every year since Steve and I separated. So he was very aware that I was going to be out there. I had no idea he was going to be.
Just tell me why you flooded his boat.
So our son went upriver on the wave runner, came back down and said, Dad's upriver. Can I go up there and ride in the boat? Well, because there's stipulations regarding the girlfriend on visitation, I needed to make sure that it was okay through Steve.
Why? What's wrong with the girlfriend?
Well, there's been drug and alcohol problems.
Well, did you ask your son whether the girlfriend was in the boat?
He didn't see her.
So then his father was alone in the boat. So what'd you have to go up there for?
Well, I needed to make sure that things were appropriate up there.
What does that mean? His father was out on the river in a boat. He's 17 years old.
No, he's 16.
See, he's 16 years old, and he wanted to go on the boat with his father.
Can I respond to that?
No.
Okay.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Steve McMahon claims his wife, Cheryl McMahon, sank his ski boat out of revenge.
Go ahead. So I went up along with Terry, my girlfriend. There was nobody. The boat was in the water. At that time, I took some pictures of the boat.
Why?
So that I could go back and show the court that the boat was in running operations. We were supposed to have it appraised out, but Mr. McMahon wouldn't agree to that. So we had to get a court order for that.
So you just happened to have a camera on your wave runner.
Mm-hmm.
You just happened to have a camera on your wave. Just a second. On your wave runner when you went up river with this lady. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, I always have a camera in there.
Always have a camera. Keep going.
Okay. He wasn't there. I went back down to camp. A little while later, I went for a ride, and I wasn't planning on seeing Mr. McMahon at that time, with Jessica. And we went upriver, and then on our way back, we seen that Steve was sitting in the boat.
Yes.
And I started to go closer to him.
Why?
Well, because I was going to ask him if it was okay for Stephen to be up there. And at that time, when he looked up and seen that it was me, he raised his hand up over his head with a tool or something, like he was going to throw it at it, and he's yelling at us to get the out of there.
Yes.
And so at that point, Jessica was screaming. I was concerned that he was going to hit me with something or hit Jessica. So I turned the wave runner and splashed him.
What a baloney
Went back
story.
To
what
camp.
a baloney story. I never heard such a baloney story in my life, Miss McMahon. You know, if you spend 10 years of your life angry. Men fare better physically when they get when they're angry. Women get all these nasty lines and they get to look much older than their years. If you spend so much of your life being bitter, I suggest you get over it. How much did it cost to fix your boat?
$3,400.80.
How much is the boat worth?
Well, it was appraised at $8,000.
Let me see.
The appraisal or the receipt?
Both.
I don't have an appraisal. Because she had it done, I never got a copy of it.
Just a second. When did you buy this boat?
1976.
Listen to me. I'm not a stupid person. The boat's 30 years old. Show me an appraisal, sir.
I don't have a copy of the appraisal.
How large is this
She
boat?
can verify the appraisal. Her appraiser did the work.
Just a minute. How large is this boat?
It's an 18-foot. It's a classic V drive. It goes up in value.
A classic.
Goes up in value.
Okay. Let me see the paid bill. How long was your boat out of commission after this flooding?
All summer, the rest of the season.
Had it been running prior thereto?
Oh, yes.
Judge Judy?
Yes.
Can I give you a receipt from, a letter from CarQuest that's stating that that invoice that he gave you is not an invoice that they can locate
Oh, yeah, I'd
or
love
that
to see
date?
I'd love to see that.
And that they use generated, computer-generated receipts.
Can I see that, please?
I can also show you.
Show this to the plaintiff, please.
Can I respond to that as well without looking at it? This is brought
Sure can before I give him a call.
Brought to my attention. Go ahead. Brought to my attention this yesterday from the harassing phone calls that she made to CarQuest corporate headquarters. Now, this is the mechanic that repaired the boat who works for CarQuest, but he uses their format for his own receipts. Here's a letter from the mechanic that works for CarQuest.
Just a second. Let me see it.
It's a private individual that was between him and I.
Well, you're talking about this guy.
Yes, has nothing to do with CarQuest.
So what you're telling me now is that despite the fact that you're using CarQuest invoice, CarQuest did not do the work on this boat. Someone who worked for CarQuest did this work for you on his own time.
That's correct.
And just used one of their forms in order to show how much money you spent on the boat. Is that what you're telling me? Is that what you're telling me?
That's the receipt he gave me, yeah.
Is that what you're telling me?
That's the receipt he gave me.
And this is what you're giving me. You didn't tell me that that was the case. You gave me something with a card, which would lead me to believe, sir, that this company prepared this receipt, and that's a lie. Is that right?
I don't know. He gave me the receipt. I don't think
Just
it's a
listen
lie.
to me. You just said to me, this is somebody that didn't do it while they were working for CarQuest. This is somebody who did it on his own time. He just used one of their invoices.
Well, he used it. I didn't use it. It's a discontinued work order from CarQuest that he uses for his own personal use.
You're slippery. Did you take the boat to CarQuest?
No, I took it to his house. But he works for CarQuest. I didn't even think anything about it.
You want to know something?
Yes.
I believe that you spent some money to fix this boat. And I was prepared to rule in your favor. Because I think that she purposely and maliciously damaged your boat. That's what you did. You were angry and you purposely and maliciously damaged his boat. You flooded it. You knew you flooded it. I don't believe your baloney story about making sure that the boat was safe for your 16-year-old son when you went up there with somebody with a camera in hand on a wave runner. People usually don't do that. And you went up there to take a picture, according to you, of the boat in the water because you wanted it for the purpose of appraisal. So I don't believe you. And I believe that you purposely flooded his boat. I think that you presented me with a false document. And people who present courts with false documents don't get cut any slack, Mr. McMahon. You understand me?
Yes, ma'am.
So you're going to pay for this boat yourself. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you.
Litigation manager John Stevens and his girlfriend, Annette Hale, are suing John's ex-girlfriend, escrow officer Janie Gutierrez, for vandalizing Annette's car with spray paint. Janie is countersuing for harassment.
Yes, case number 242 on the calendar in the matter of Hale, Stevens versus Gutierrez. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Mr. Stevens, Miss Gutierrez and you used to be an item. You were boyfriend and girlfriend for a while, is that right?
That is correct.
And you are currently attached to Miss Hale.
I'm currently seeing Miss Hale, that is correct.
According to the complaint that I have, the two of you say that Miss Gutierrez did not accept the breakup well, and she has embarked upon a course of conduct that is harassment. She's vandalized your property. She's repeatedly written notes, spray painted your car, spray painted your house, and you want her to stop this harassment. You have a series of police reports, 7 or 8 of them, over a period of several months. You want $4,000 in damages. Ms. Gutierrez says there is no way that she's responsible for any of the damage that you claim. As a matter of fact, she can prove that to me because she was hospitalized and she had just undergone some major surgery at a time when you claim she was running around spray painting your house. And she is counterclaiming because she says because of your complaints about her to the police, she lost her job. How long were you and Ms. Gutierrez together?
Approximately 26 months.
Did you live together?
No, ma'am.
And when did you stop seeing each other?
We formally broke it off December of 2003. While she was in hospital in January and February, I visited her. It was a life-threatening surgery. During that time, I was very explicit that I didn't want to maintain the relationship as a boyfriend-girlfriend.
You mean right after her surgery?
Correct.
That was in '04, January and February of '04.
Yes.
Okay.
The last time I actually spoke to her about the relationship was probably the earliest part of June.
Well, between January and February and the early part of June, were you together? Did you see each other?
We went on a camping trip in May as friends.
How do you go on a camping trip
well,
with somebody?
We were going to try the experience.
Listen to me.
Yes, ma'am.
How do you go with somebody on a camping trip in May that you're told you don't want a relationship with several months before, and then tell me you went as friends?
The reason was I don't believe that that's usually a healthy thing, but I thought that she would be mature about it.
Be mature about what?
To be able to be a friend after you've been in a deep relationship with someone, and to handle it as friends.
So you decided to handle it as friends by going away on a camping trip together. Now, let me ask you about this camping trip. How many people went on the camping trip?
It was just the 2 of us.
And did, And did you have 1 tent or 2?
We had 1 tent.
And did you share that tent, or did you sleep on the sofa?
No, we shared the tent.
Were you intimate during the course of this camping trip?
No, ma'am. We were not.
Is that true?
That's correct. It's kind of hard to do anything in a tent.
Where there's a will, there's a way. So what happened during this trip in May?
Well, we talked about a lot of things. I told her she still had feelings for me and voiced that to me, and I told her that I didn't want to continue, that I wanted to start seeing other people, and I encouraged her to do the same.
How long was this camping trip?
It was just a weekend.
When did you have this conversation with her, on Friday or Sunday?
In regard to?
Not wanting to have a relationship with her anymore.
Well, it had been sort of ongoing. I can't recall it like a specific time.
Your Honor, we never talked about it. We went out and had a good time. The following weekend was Memorial Weekend. I spent the entire holiday weekend with them.
That sound right, sir?
I only recall the camping trip.
Well, let's try to recall the following weekend. She said she spent the entire weekend with you.
I know that what I do...
She's going to be able to prove everything that she says. I want you to trust me, so I want you to think hard. We're not talking about so long ago, sir. You went camping. She says the following weekend was Memorial Weekend, and you spent the entire weekend with him. Is that right? Where?
At his home.
At his home?
Yes.
Not in your home?
Friday through Monday.
You didn't have a tent there where it was difficult?
We slept in the same bed, Your Honor.
Think hard.
I am, Your Honor, and I do not recall that I'm being completely brutally honest with you, Your
Okay,
Honor.
well, if you don't recall it, she does.
I do, Your Honor.
Okay, so what happened at the end of that Memorial Day weekend, Ms. Gutierrez?
We just had a good weekend. We made a nice steak dinner that night. Always ate underneath his hut. He's got a beautiful yard.
Well, when did he tell you that it was over?
We never talked about it.
How did you find out it was over?
On June 2nd, he was supposed to go with me to a Japanese dinner with a friend of mine, and he backed out. After dinner, I went to the club looking for him.
What club?
It's the Texas Tux.
Is that where he works?
That's where he picks up his women.
Did you find him?
No, ma'am.
When did you speak to him, if at all, for him to tell you that it was over?
A week and a half after he met Annette on June 5th. He was seeing her, but I didn't know anything about it until a week and a half later.
Miss Hale, when did you meet Mr. Stevens?
June 12th.
6/12.
Yes, ma'am.
Where did you meet him?
I met him at the Tux with some friends.
At the Texas Tux?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were immediately attracted to him?
We got along well. Great conversation. Over the next few weeks, we would meet for a drink or dinner or, and that was it.
Did he tell you that he had been in a long-term relationship?
Sure did.
What did he tell you about it?
He had been broke up with her since December 14th.
Okay, that's what he told you? Mm-hmm. That he had been out of the relationship for at least 6 months?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, you now know that that's not true.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you know that before today?
No, ma'am.
We're getting on with this because I want you to hear this, Miss Hale. Before you put all your eggs in his basket, I want you to understand what you're dealing with.
Okay.
Bad enough that one lady got snookered. You don't want that to happen twice.
And he will. Shh. Sorry.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You understand that the lady standing next to you has certain questions to ask you about what kind of character you have.
Well, ma'am, I'm an Eagle Scout, and I try to be as forthright and honest with her about a lot of these issues.
He never was honest with me. I found that out just recently.
He's an Eagle Scout.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. John Stevens and his girlfriend Annette Hale claim John's ex-girlfriend Janie Gutierrez has been spray painting obscenities on Annette's car.
Now, Mr. Stevens, Miss Hale tells me that you told her that you were in a long-term relationship which terminated in December.
That's when it formally terminated. That's when we had a
That's not what you told me 2 minutes ago, sir.
No, but I'm just saying, what happened, that was the formal end of the romantic relationship. I did have a continued relationship, but it was not a romantic one with Miss Gutierrez.
Well, maybe you weren't romantic, sir. Did you tell Miss Hale that you had been on a camping trip with her?
I told Miss Hale about a lot of...
Did you tell her you had been on a camping trip with her 2 weeks before?
I don't recall if I told her about the camping trip.
Well, let's see. Did he tell you about the camping trip?
Yes, ma'am, but I was not aware they were alone. I was aware that there were a lot of people.
Oh, well, tell me about what he told you about the camping trip.
I thought they had gone with friends on a camping trip and that it was strictly friendly and that was it. And she couldn't accept that, and so he told her they couldn't be friends. That's what I was told. Yes.
There isn't a question in my mind, Miss Hale, that on Memorial Day weekend, they spent the weekend together. Because she remembers it down to what they had for dinner, and he just doesn't remember. Exactly. Just doesn't remember that. Could have happened, but he doesn't remember it.
Right.
Okay. Now, Miss Hale, I'd like you to tell me what kind of vandalism you suffered and when.
Okay. The first one started on June 25th. I have police reports.
Can I see it, please?
Pictures.
Was there a word written here? I can't tell what it says.
It starts, but it just never gets to that last letter.
Okay. Well, this happened June 25th. What proof do you have that Miss Gutierrez caused this damage to your car?
Well, I have 2 other police reports. The painting happened 2 other times to my car. I have pictures of it also. And the fact that on July 31st, we were trying to wait up and watch for her since it was becoming every week. And at 4 o'clock in the morning, the dog started going crazy, and she was out in the driveway with a can of spray paint.
But, Your Honor, she neglected to tell you that I got a prank joke from the police officer at 3:30 in the morning. They said that they had a witness for me spray painting the garage in her car, and they told me if I didn't come to the scene and bring my spray paint to the scene, if I had any spray paint, to bring it, otherwise they would arrest me. He made the prank call. So I came up there with the can of spray paint that was never used at 4 a.m. in the morning.
Did you call her?
No, ma'am.
That doesn't sound right to me, Miss Gutierrez.
It is, Judge Judy. They woke me up at 3:30 in the
Where did you
morning.
get a can of spray paint?
I bought 3 cans 6 years ago. It took 2 cans to spray one of my piece of furniture.
What color?
It was a burgundy.
Miss Gutierrez.
But the third paint can I never used. I used both of them on the piece of furniture 6 years ago.
What color was the...
The third time was burgundy.
Can I see it, please?
And the same night, 25 miles away, she painted his garage burgundy. And we have pictures.
Yeah. Some pictures of my garage.
The gold paint was the second time. That was the third with the burgundy on his garage.
What date was this?
That one was July the 16th, with the burgundy paint.
Now, Ms. Gutierrez, according to your answer, you say that it was impossible for you to have done this on the 16th of July because you had either just had surgery or you were recuperating from major surgery. What kind of surgery?
I broke my neck in January. I was paralyzed.
Until when?
I just got the machine off the back of my neck last week, and also my PICC line that I've had since January.
Well, that didn't prevent you from getting around in July. You were not bedridden in July.
I was on a machine, and I had home care come 3 times a week.
That doesn't make any sense.
I was restricted to
You're not
working
answering
back
my
home.
question. Were you mobile during the month of July?
Yes, ma'am.
Of course, because at some point in July, you went over to the house at 4 o'clock in the morning, right?
When I got the phone call,
When you got the phone call, you were able to get up out of your house and go over to his house with a can of spray paint. So you were, in fact, mobile. So there was nothing physiologically wrong with you that precluded you from getting into a car and traveling, unless somebody drove you there. Did somebody drive you there?
No, ma'am.
You drove yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Ms. Gutierrez, I would have been very angry with him, too.
But not enough for me to spray paint, Your Honor. I'm not violent.
That's not being violent. Not violent. It's being vindictive. It's a criminal act. It's not per se a violent act. But I don't see why you would want to spray paint her car. She got snookered in by this guy.
I have nothing against her, Your Honor.
Of course not. You shouldn't. The only thing that you both suffer from is from terrible judgment. You understand that the lady standing next to you has certain questions to ask you about what kind of character you have after today.
Well, ma'am, I'm an Eagle Scout, and I've tried to be as forthright and honest with her about a lot of these issues.
He never was honest with me. I found that out just recently.
He's an Eagle Scout.
Doesn't mean I'm perfect.
They're
Your
going to
Honor.
take your badges away from you, Mr. Stevens. How much did it cost you to clean up your car?
Well, we kept using different methods to get the paint off, but I've got estimates. It's practically down to the metal because 3 times getting paint off, it takes it away. So I've got 2 estimates and an estimate from Hertz on renting a car while it's getting fixed.
Did you get the paint off your garage door, Mr. Stevens?
Yes, ma'am, I did. I used some chemicals, but it's left it down to taking the top coating off.
So I think you ought to get a can of paint. And while you're painting, I think you should keep repeating to yourself, I cannot tell a lie, I will always tell the truth. I am an Eagle Scout. See what kind of trouble you cause when you're not honest with people?
Ma'am, I've tried to be honest throughout this ordeal.
No. Let me explain something to you, Mr. Stevens. If you told this lady back in January and February that you were no longer interested in a relationship with her, and she could not accept that, that would have been her problem. But if you were waffling around until you found something better and took her away on a camping trip, and then the following weekend either shared her bed or allowed her to share yours with a view towards perhaps I have nothing better to do this weekend, that means that what you are doing is you are playing fast and loose with somebody else's emotions. And that, sir, is very cruel. And then when you meet this lady, you give her a whole bunch of junk, painting a picture to her that is not accurate, because I'm sure that when she was suffering this damage to her car, you were telling her, I don't know what's wrong with her. I broke up with her in December. That's 7 months ago. She just can't accept it. She didn't know that you were leading her on over the course of the next 6 or 7 months, up until a couple of months before this happened. She didn't know that. That's not being honest, sir. And sometimes damage comes from not being honest. So I suggest you go out there and get yourself a can of paint, put on some jeans, and paint your garage doors. You get $1,400 to paint your car. Judgment for the plaintiff, and your counterclaim is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Obviously, there's a relationship that broke apart and someone couldn't let go.
It destroyed me because my plans were to marry him.
I don't think I got the whole truth from either one of them.
Sort of painted me today like I was very untruthful and not upfront and honest.
He lied not only to me, but his new girlfriend.
I feel like I'm a victim in this.
My advice to her is she needs to check out someone's history thoroughly before jumping in bed with them.
I shouldn't have to live in fear where someone's going to come by, destroy my property, and come over at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I hope this is the end of it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Bowman versus Schmelzer, step forward, please.
20-year-old student Elizabeth Bowman is suing her ex-boyfriend, 19-year-old student Mark Schmelzer, for an unpaid cell phone bill and cancellation fees. Mark says all he wants is for Elizabeth to leave him alone.
Miss Bowman, the defendant was your boyfriend for a period of time. During the time he was your boyfriend, you got a cell phone, you signed the contract, you gave him a cell phone, you broke up with him, you got back the cell phone, but you had certain charges on the cell phone, including a turn-in fee for his cell phone and a breach of contract for the service, so you want him to pay for that. That's what the case is about, correct? When did you get the phone?
May of last year.
And when you got the phone and signed the contract, how old was Mr. Schmelzer?
Yes.
17.
17. And why didn't he get a contract?
Because he wasn't 18. You can't unless you're 18.
And why is that?
Can't be held accountable.
Right. You can't be held liable on a contract if you are a minor. And that's why he didn't sign the contract, right?
Correct.
That's why he can't make a contract with you. Do you understand?
Yes.
Got it? Do you understand that you have no case?
Yes.
Okay, good. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
19-year-old student Kristen Carmichael is suing her mother, homemaker Catherine Welk, for cashing in savings bonds purchased for her by her great-grandmother. Kristen also claims her mother owes for an unpaid loan.
Yeah, this is case number 280 on the calendar in the matter of Carmichael versus Welk.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat, please.
Miss Carmichael, this is your mother.
Yes.
How old are you?
19.
Had you always lived with your mother?
Yes.
Until when?
Last September, the end of last September.
According to your complaint, your mother owes you $5,000. $2,000 of that represents money that she allegedly really stole from you because she cashed in some savings bonds that had been purchased for you by your great-grandmother.
Yes.
She cashed in those bonds and used the money.
Yes.
And in addition, you say that you loaned your mother $3,000 in order to secure the services of an attorney. She was going through a divorce or separation from her husband. Shortly thereafter, she reconciled with him, and she never gave you the money back. Your mother says she used the money as her grandmother would have wanted her to use it, the money from your bonds, and that the $3,000 that she acknowledges that you gave her for an attorney was a gift. That's your defense. Is that right? Okay. When did Kristen's great-grandmother purchase these bonds for her?
She began purchasing them in 1990.
Did she purchase them for any of her other great-grandchildren?
Yes.
How many?
The 2 other children.
Your 2 other children?
Mm-hmm.
How old are those children?
Amanda, that's sitting there.
Is how old?
She's 23, and my youngest is 11.
When did you cash in Kristen's bonds, and why?
It was right after my grandmother had passed away. She passed away on March the 9th, 2000.
And why did you cash in Kristen's bonds?
Because at the time that my grandmother passed away, her estate went into probate and they froze all the accounts. I did not have the funds to pay for her funeral situation.
2000 is when your grandmother died. How many children benefited from her estate, ultimately?
I did.
You. And in what amount?
When it finished...
When it finished?
That was December 30th. Go ahead. Okay, there was approximately $20,000.
Did you use your other 2 children's bonds?
The bonds were kept. As far as I know, 2 other bonds from my youngest daughters were used. My oldest daughter had already cashed all of her bonds.
How much did you get for your this daughter's bonds?
I do not recall. I don't have the paper for it.
I do.
Can I see it, please?
Yes.
$17 bonds, each with a $100 face value.
Mm-hmm.
And if held to maturity, which would have been a couple of years from now, they would have been worth $1,700. So now you had an emergency. Let us assume, Miss Welk, you had an emergency. And while I'm not condoning the fact that you took your daughter's bonds and cashed them in at a much lesser value than you would have gotten had they been held to maturity, why didn't you replace them when you got $20,000 from your grandmother's estate?
At the time that all of this occurred, we had all of these other things going on. When all of this changed, we also had no place to live. The house was sold because it was in this whole situation. We then had to move, taking Kristen with us. After all of that was done, I didn't even remember this entire situation until this divorce situation came up in 2003.
Well, you owe us $1,700, period, for the bonds. Outrageous. Your conduct is outrageous. That's one. Number 2, your daughter says that she loaned you $3,000. Why did you loan your mother $3,000?
Because her and my stepfather were going, he served her with papers for divorce, and I wanted to help her out. She came to me and asked me to borrow $3,000.
Where did you get $3,000 from?
I got it. I worked at a gymnastics place, and I got money from there, and my father died, and I received Social Security checks every month.
Do you put the Social Security checks away?
Yes, I put them into my bank account.
Let me see the bank account.
That's the bank statements.
On June 18th, she transferred $3,000 into your checking account. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that was for the purposes of securing an attorney in your matrimonial case?
Correct.
And then, according to your answer, within a week, you and your husband reconciled.
Right.
Why didn't you give her back the money?
Because first of all, it wasn't a loan. She gave that to me hoping to be able to end the situation and move us back to Stockton where her friends were.
Just a second. Did you come to her and ask her for money
No,
to go to an attorney?
No, ma'am.
What was the $3,000 to be used for?
It was used for the attorney.
Just a second. Are you telling me that you gave the attorney $3,000 and within a week's time the attorney would not give you back the $3,000? Is that what you're telling me?
I can show you what he's...
Don't listen to me very carefully. Don't show me anything. Are you telling me that she gave you the $3,000 for the purposes of securing an attorney, that you gave the attorney a retainer of $3,000, within days you reconciled with your husband, and are you telling me the attorney did not give you your retainer or most of it back? I'm going to call the attorney.
I have it right
I'm going to call the attorney because you understand, don't you, that that would be unethical for the attorney to have kept the $3,000 if the attorney did no work.
He returned $889 of the $3,000, and I have his bill here if you would like to see how he used it.
Sure, give it to me. Well, let me ask you this question. How much of the $800 that you claimed the attorney gave you back did you give to your daughter? I asked you a question. How much of the $800 that he gave you back did you give to your daughter?
I didn't.
You're some piece of work.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Children take from their parents. Parents don't take from their children.
And later today,
when I found out that he was having a baby with the other lady, I asked him if he was going to be with me or her, and he couldn't tell me.
You couldn't make up your mind.
Correct.
Couldn't find your mind.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 19-year-old Kristen Carmichael says her mother, Catherine Welk, cashed in savings bonds purchased for her by her great-grandmother. Catherine says Kristen gave her that money.
Is this June 18th, 2003 or 2004 that you gave this money to your mother?
2003.
2003. And your mother says that within a couple of days, or within a week, she reconciled with her husband. Then what is all this stuff here from September of 2003 from the attorney? If you reconciled with your husband, why is he still doing things in September of 2003?
I questioned him also.
Oh, give me a break. Give me a break. Has absolutely nothing to do with this case. You owe your daughter $3,000. For that, you owe your daughter $1,700 for the bonds. $4,700. Listen. Children take from their parents. Parents don't take from their children. You're supposed to, if you bury your grandmother, it's your responsibility. It's not her responsibility. If you get the money back, which you did, which you clearly did, immediately, if you had an emergency, you reimburse your daughter. And if you're having a problem with your husband, and if your daughter is nice enough to give you money because you asked for it, for an attorney, and if within a week you reconcile, then you say, honey, here's your $3,000 back that you've been working for. I wouldn't take that money from you, instead of giving her a whole bunch of excuses. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,700.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
That was my money that I loaned to my mom.
I didn't go to her asking for it. She gave it to me.
She needed to pay me back.
And all it's done is teach me a lesson that my youngest daughter will pay the price for this daughter.
We got into an argument over something absolutely ridiculous, and we got into a confrontation, and she kicked me out.
It's very difficult. I have worried day in and day out since she left our house, not knowing where she is or how she is. She does not care about any of us.
I would like us to have a mother-daughter relationship, but I don't know.
And now the next case. Shipping coordinator Gene Lorsch is suing his ex-fiancée, daycare owner Karen Watkins, for the return of bedroom furniture, a refrigerator, and the engagement ring. Karen says Gene's lawsuit is ridiculous.
Yes, it's case number 208 on the calendar in the matter of Lorsch versus Watkins. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Mr. Lorsch, you and the defendant were together for about 7 years, according to what I read in your complaint, and engaged for 3 or 4 of those years. You broke up, and you want returned to you some furniture, and you also want the engagement ring back. Ms. Watkins says the furniture's been in her house for years, never asked for it back. As a matter of fact, you don't even want the furniture back. You want the value of the furniture because you've already replaced it. And as far as the engagement ring is concerned, she said she hasn't seen it for years. So either you took it back or it was lost. And you lived together for 2 years after it was lost. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. When did the two of you live together? During which period of time?
Well, I'd say from 99 to 2003.
And when you left, did you take anything with you?
No, Your Honor, I did not.
Your Honor, that's not true.
What did he take with him?
He took his couch. He took the bedroom set that was in my bedroom.
Did you take the couch? When you moved out, sir, did you take the sofa?
Your Honor, yes, I did.
I mean, I do speak the language, and I assume you do too, so I don't know why you're confused. Did you take a bed?
Just a bed and headboard itself, yes.
Okay. What else did he take, Miss Watkins?
Well, those are the main furniture things that we have there.
Those are the furniture things. Now we're a year later, more than a year later, and you want a refrigerator, not the refrigerator, the cost of the refrigerator, and you want some bedroom furniture that you purchased because each of you had a daughter.
Correct.
And you bought some bedroom furniture so that the two girls could be in the same bedroom.
That's right, Your Honor. It made it more
Okay.
comfortable for my daughter to be in her place. Like I said, she provided daycare for me for the whole time that we were together, and I was paying her daycare fees.
So we're getting,
Mr.
Mr. Lorsch, listen to me. We're getting beyond ourselves, sir. I like to keep things very simple. When you moved out in June of 2003, did you ask her for the refrigerator?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
That's not true.
Shh, just a second. Don't say anything that's not true, because I will make you look very foolish.
This was something...
Just a second. Don't say anything that's not true, or I will make you look very foolish. And you don't want that. So, I'm going to start all over again. Did you ask her for the refrigerator in June of 2003?
Yes, Your Honor, I did.
Okay. And did you ask her for the children's furniture in June of 2003?
At that point in time, no, Your Honor, I did not.
But you did ask her for the refrigerator.
Yes, I did.
And what did she say?
She thought that I owed it to her.
And what did you say?
I said, I think, your new boyfriend can get you a new refrigerator.
Okay. And what did she say?
She said, I think that rightfully belongs to me now.
Okay. And that's the way it was left.
Yes.
You did not sue her for that, right?
At that point in time, no, I did not.
Over a year ago. Nor did you sue her for the children's furniture, correct?
I did ask her for the stuff on occasion.
Listen to my words very carefully. You did not sue her for those items in June of 2003.
It was a continuing discussion over the year.
When was it a continuing discussion, Mr. Lorsch? Was it a continuing discussion each time you would take your daughter there for her to provide daycare?
More like on a monthly basis.
And you had this conversation with her on a monthly basis while she was taking care of your child. Is that what you're telling me?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, when your daughter was not with Miss Watkins, was she back in your home with you or your former wife?
My former wife, yes.
Did she ever come to stay in your home?
Yes.
For a day, or 2 days, or 3 days?
3 or 4 days, usually.
Yeah.
Oh, shh. And when she came to your home, did you feed her?
In the evenings, yes.
And when you fed her, did you use a refrigerator?
Yes, I did.
Where'd you get it from?
I had to purchase a new one to replace the old.
When did you purchase the new one?
I have that in here.
Well, why don't you tell me about it?
May 7th of this year.
So is what you're telling me, Mr. Lorsch, between June of 2003 and May of 2004, you lived without a refrigerator?
No, I had a portable unit.
So you had a refrigerator?
A small one, yes.
Good for you. Now, when did you purchase new bedroom furniture for your daughter to sleep in?
Actually, I do not have it yet.
You don't? So where was your daughter sleeping? She wasn't sleeping with you.
She is either sleeping on the couch or she'll sleep in a sleeping bag in her room.
In a sleeping bag in her room?
This is on call. They're supposed to call me when it's delivered.
Is what you're telling me the way that you provided for your daughter when she was with you was to have her sleep on the floor? Is that what you're telling me?
No, Your Honor. At the time, I had a day bed.
There we go. That's better. In what year did you purchase the bedroom furniture that was in Miss Watkins' home?
That was November 30th of '02, like 6 months before she decided she didn't want to be with me anymore. It's awfully convenient.
No, there were a lot of nights, sir, between November of '02 and June of '03.
Yeah.
It's only 6 months, Your Honor.
That's a lot of nights. Now, where's the engagement ring?
It's gone. I took it off because I wasn't ready to be married. I took it off. The next day where I put it, I went to get it. It was gone.
When was this?
I think he took it.
When?
Oh, gosh. Approximately two years ago, maybe possibly 3.
Did you discuss the fact with Mr. Lorsch that you didn't have the ring?
Yeah, I went to get it, and I said, I took the ring off, and it was gone. I still think he took it because he's so controlling, and he probably took it until the time that he, because we were still dating, and so he probably...
Listen, when you live together, and you share a room, and you share a life, and you have children over, that's not dating. Dating is what you do when somebody comes to your house picks you up on a Friday night, takes you to dinner and to a movie, and then brings you home. That's dating.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I am a master at ferreting out the truth. So as smart as you think you are, you're not smarter than I am. We understand each other, Mr. Lorsch?
And later today,
At what point did you drive?
On the way home, back to her house.
Miss Essman, I don't want you to say no unless you were there. And you weren't.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jean Lorsch says ex-fiancée Karen Watkins owes for the return of a bedroom set, a refrigerator, and an engagement ring.
Now, Mr. Lorsch, while you were living together, do you recall a time that she no longer had the engagement ring?
When she said that she, didn't want to date
No, look
anymore.
at me, look at me. Don't look down at your papers. My question to you is...
I
you
asked
see,
her at that time.
Just a second. Mr. Lorsch, do you see how foolish I made you look 5 minutes ago? If you don't see it, everybody else has seen it. Now, I'm going to ask you again. I'm going to give you another chance, sir. Did there come a time while you were living together with Miss Watkins that she was no longer wearing the engagement ring?
At the point she called it off, yes.
Good.
I asked her about it then, and she said she stopped wearing it 2 months prior, which was
Okay.
just last year.
So there
Not
was
2
a
years
time,
ago.
listen to me. So there was a time while you were living together that she was not wearing the engagement ring. Is that right?
According to her, yes.
No, according to you. I said there was a time while you were living together that she was not wearing the engagement ring.
That seems apparent, yes.
It was apparent. Now, when you saw that she was not wearing the engagement ring, did you continue to share a room with her?
No, Your Honor.
I want to listen. You know, you're trying to think of how to answer these questions so that this decision will go in your favor. And I'm telling you only one thing, sir. I am a master at ferreting out the truth. So as smart as you think you are, you're not smarter than I am. We understand each other, Mr. Lorsch?
Yes, Your
My
Honor.
question to you is a simple one, sir. Now that you have acknowledged that while you were living together, she stopped wearing the ring for whatever reason, what kind of discussion did you have with her about the ring?
If she was calling the engagement, I asked her if I could have it back. She says, I have misplaced it, and when I find it, I will return it to you.
After she said she misplaced it, did you ever see it again?
No, Your Honor, I did not.
Now, after you broke up in June of 2003, it had been, let us say, months that she hadn't worn the ring. Did you say to her, did you find the ring?
Yes.
And what did she say to you?
Haven't had a chance to look for it yet.
That's not entirely true. He never asked for the ring. Is what he would do is threaten me and point at me and say, if you don't find the ring, I'm going to take you to court and I'm going to ruin you in court. And that's what he used to always do to me, is point at me and corner me and threaten me, you know.
So he asked you for the ring. He demanded the ring back. Now, we're not talking about the Hope Diamond here. We're talking about a ring that, according to you, Mr. Lorsch, you spent $700 on. Is that right?
That's correct.
Get over it. Mr. Lorsch, if you lie about one thing, I doubt the veracity of everything that you say. Do we
Your Honor,
understand each
she
other?
lies in
Do we
court,
understand? Do we understand each other? It's not her burden, sir. It's your burden. So when you come to court, it's your burden of proof to go forward and convince me that you have just cause. And what you've said in your complaint is, I don't want the refrigerator back, and I don't want the bedroom furniture back. I wanted to pay me the replacement value of it, because I went out and I bought a new refrigerator a year later, and I went out and bought new furniture that I haven't gotten yet. Get a
Your
life.
Honor.
Mr. Lorsch, you're out of here. Goodbye. Case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Come by the daycare and tell me he wanted, and he'd corner me. He held me captive in his house.
We'd been friends ever since we broke up.
As long as I'm around, he'll always be last place.
I believe that finally I can get him out of my life, and he can move on, I can move on, and it'll be good.
I have a feeling it'll still continue.
And now the next case. Lighting technician Daniel Gonzalez is suing his former friend, internet salesperson Victoria Delgado, for fraudulently opening a credit card in his name. Victoria says Daniel is suing out of spite because he wants to be more than friends.
Now, this is case number 277 on the calendar, the matter of Gonzalez versus Delgado. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat.
Mr. Gonzalez, I gather from your complaint that you believe that Mrs. Delgado made a fool of you.
Yes, ma'am.
And in addition to making a fool of you, she fraudulently obtained a credit card in your name, charged almost $3,000 worth of merchandise on it, and you want that money back.
Correct.
She was your friend,
Yes.
and she called you one day and said she was going through an acrimonious divorce,
Correct.
and you agreed to help her.
Yes, ma'am.
How did you know her?
We used to work together at one of our theme parks locally in Texas.
When you knew her, was she married?
Not at the time, no.
When did you get married?
I got married December 25th of this past year, on Christmas Day.
And when did you separate from your husband?
April 23rd.
And when did you call Mr. Gonzalez?
Well, take it back a few steps. On my wedding day...
Don't take it back a few steps unless I ask you.
Okay. But
you were separated from your husband on April 23rd of 2004.
For the second time, yes. Which Daniel had agreed a previous time to help me out as well.
Just a second. When did you separate from your husband for the first time?
January 17th.
Did you call Mr. Gonzalez at that time?
Yes, I most certainly did.
Why did you call Mr. Gonzalez?
Because the night of my wedding, my husband, for like a couple of hours, had made a comment to me that really upset me, and I had went to the restroom and I was crying. And at that time, Daniel was like, it's not too late to step out now.
This is Daniel?
Yes.
Daniel said to you...
It's not too late to back out now.
So?
So he offered to help me at that time. So
how did he offer to help?
He offered to get me away at my wedding. So,
and you said, no, I'm in love and I want to stay
I was
together.
in love with my husband,
well,
and I wanted to be
so
with my
January 17th, you separated from the first time from your husband.
Yes.
Why did you call Mr. Gonzalez?
Because he was a friend and he was always there to help me.
Good. What did you say to him?
Well, my mother was very sick, so I flew to Florida, and I was helping her because I have a brother.
What did you ask him for?
He was helping me find an apartment.
So he was just talking to you?
Talking to me and finding apartments while I was in Florida.
So you asked him to look for an apartment for you?
Yes, and a vehicle.
And a car?
Mm-hmm.
And did he find an apartment for you?
Over the course of my staying in Florida, me and my husband, we decided that, what we were going through was silly, and we ended up back together again.
So you called Mr. Gonzalez and said to him, put the skids on the car, put the skids on the apartment, I don't need it.
Exactly.
And then you separated from your husband again in April.
Yes.
A couple of months later.
Yes.
And again you called Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes, I did.
For help.
For help.
And I assume that you recognized that Mr. Gonzalez was helping you because his interest in you was more than platonic, that he cared for you. It's not an answer.
It probably, yes. I do think that his intentions were more than platonic.
Right. And what about your intentions?
Mine were not.
Then why did you use him?
I didn't use him. He
Yes, of course
help,
you did.
And I
of course
took
you
it.
did. Of course you used him. Hey, listen, Smiley. If you knew that his intentions, and he cared for you in a romantic way, and you did not have the same kind of feelings for him, then by calling him on the phone whenever you and your husband had an argument and asking him for assistance, you were using him. Got it?
Okay, got it.
So when you called him in April when you and your husband separated, what did you ask him for?
At the time, I needed a vehicle more than anything.
You needed a car?
Yes.
From this man who you knew cared for you, so you were going to use him for a car?
He offered.
Well, you mean he just picked up out of the blue? He said, let me see, what is it possibly that she could need? What does Karnak say that she needs?
We had went to lunch together, and I
How did
told
that
him,
come about?
He would come and pick me up on Mondays, and we would go to lunch, because that was on his only free day, and we went to lunch.
You mean while you were together, between January and April, you went to lunch with him?
No, I never went to lunch with him.
After you separated?
Yes.
Well, how did he find out you were separated? Did you call him?
Yes, I did.
So you called him, and then you said to him, we can have lunch on Monday, right?
No, he
And
the
it was
one that
on one of
suggested
these
Monday.
lunches that you told him that you needed a car?
Yes.
And he agreed to help you get a car?
Yes, he co-signed with me on a 2002 Nissan Xterra.
Isn't that nice of him? Your agreement was that you would pay for it, right?
I would make the payments on it, yes.
And you stopped making the payments on it?
I never even got the chance to make the first payment on the car.
He took the car back?
He took it back, yes.
Why did he take it back?
Because in the transition with me getting the car, I was supposed to get my student loan in, and I was going to give him money for a deposit, which the deposit originally was only supposed to be $500. But when he went to sign the paperwork, he went without me to sign it. He told him that I was going to give him $1,000, and because he got all the warranty and everything on it, they added another $288, so it came up to almost $1,300 that he needed down on it. But the decision between him and I was that I would make the full payments on it, and I told him at that time I didn't have the $1,300 to give him, that I would get it from my student loan.
So he canceled it?
He didn't cancel it. He kept the car, to my knowledge.
Is that right?
I took the car away from her because she didn't pay the down payment to the vehicle, nor did she pay the first down payment.
So you actually got the vehicle?
Yes, I took the vehicle away because she failed to.
Listen to me, Mr. Gonzalez. You got the vehicle?
Yes.
Did she ever drive it?
Yes, she did.
Did you ever drive it?
Yes, I had it for almost a month before he took it.
Oh, you didn't tell me that. I thought you said he changed his mind. So he got the vehicle.
Oh, yeah.
And he gave it to you.
Yes, he did.
And she didn't make the down payment, and she didn't make the first payment.
That's correct.
Ah.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
How much of the $2,600 and change did you pay?
My husband gave him $90 to shut him up.
Your husband gave him $90 to shut him up?
Yes.
So that the answer is you paid him nothing?
$90.
No, the answer is you paid him nothing.
Okay.
And later today.
Do you suffer from a mental disability?
No, I don't.
Unfortunately, Mr. Jimenez, I'm not kidding.
No, I don't suffer from a mental disability.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Daniel Gonzalez says former friend Victoria Delgado owes for fraudulently opening a credit card in his name. Daniel says Victoria is a user and took advantage of his kindness.
Now let's get to the credit card. When for the first time did you know that she had obtained a credit card?
On the 13th of May.
What?
Of May. May 13th.
And how did you find out that she had obtained a credit card?
She told me that she had applied for a credit card under both our names. So then from there, she just started telling me all that she made a couple of purchases for her apartment that she was going to get. And I was like, well, I was thinking a couple of purchases, like maybe $50, $60, $100, maybe.
Actually, he got upset. He got upset.
I'm not talking to you yet. Go ahead.
She told me that she had received a phone call on the 12th stating that that the credit card company was requesting my information. And I was like, well, how am I supposed to do that? I didn't even know about the credit card. So that's when everything turned out that she...
Can I see the bills, please?
Sure. And at the same time, she gave me a letter that she wanted me to sign stating, that's the letter, that she wanted me to sign.
Can I? In a minute. In a minute.
Okay.
She gave me a letter that she wanted me to sign so she can fax information to the credit card company, stating that she was an authorized user. In a matter of 3 days, she was managed to charge $2,600 on a credit card.
Now I'll hear you, Ms. Delgado. $2,600 plus merchandise that you charged over the period of a few days on his account. How much did you pay on the $2,600?
On the $2,600? I was in the hospital.
I didn't ask you that. I didn't ask you whether you were in the hospital, whether you were at Disney World, whether you were at a tea dance, whether you were on a world cruise. I asked you, how much of the $2,600 and change did you pay?
My husband gave him $90 to shut him up.
Your husband gave him $90 to shut him up, so that the answer is you paid him nothing.
$90.
No, the answer is you paid him nothing.
Okay.
Now, where is all this merchandise that you charged?
It's all household goods for my house. I bought a bedroom set. I bought dishes.
Now, just a second. Now, you separated from your husband on April 23rd.
Yes.
And when did you reconcile with your husband?
We started talking again in early June.
And when did you move back together?
June, I believe the 15th.
Where's the bedroom set?
I still have it.
Who sleeps in it?
Me and my husband.
You're some piece of work.
I'm sorry that you feel that way.
Oh, I do.
I mean, the whole circumstance surrounding it's
I think
different.
that you have a bad character. I think that you used Mr. Gonzalez's friendship. You fraudulently obtained a credit card.
No, I didn't fraudulently do it.
Oh, sure you did.
No, I have a piece of paper here. If I was trying to fraudulently use his name and I didn't want it linked back to me, that's what he was claiming. I signed it.
You fraudulently
obtained
a credit card. because you yourself say in your answer that you made believe you were him.
That's because on the morning that they called, I called and I told him he was in the process of refinancing his house.
Listen to me. That's what you say in your answer.
Exactly, but you're not letting me get back to the...
When Visa called, I acted like I was him.
I did, because he told me to.
What date was that?
I believe it was on the 15th.
So on the 15th,
that morning,
2 weeks
Sunday
before,
morning.
2 weeks before you decided to reconcile with your husband, you had just concluded charging over $2,600 worth of merchandise on a credit card that he's obligated to pay. That's what you're telling me, right? You are a person of poor character. You are a person who committed fraud, and you're a person who's going to repay him $2,700, which includes the interest. That's what he's suing for. Judgment for the plaintiff. Get rid of him.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Daniel's intentions were way more than they were.
There was nothing in my mind that, or even wanting anything from her, just a friendship.
He is a grown adult. If he wanted to buy those things and, you know, or do that for me, then that was on his own.
Well, I didn't know it to be so much money until I called the credit card company and found out it was $2,600. And I was like, well, whoa, that's more than a bottle of wine, you know?
The chances in love and war, you know, he took his chances, he lost.
I was trying to help her out just for a vehicle, but not to furnish her whole apartment.
He lost, so now he's bitter.
All I wanted was just the money that she owed me for the purchase that she made.
And now the next case. Homemaker Sandy Wyatt is suing the father of her daughter, parts manager Fabian Grogan, for the cost of their child's expenses. Fabian is countersuing, claiming Sandy won't let him see his daughter.
Now, this is case number 188 on the calendar in the matter of Wyatt versus Grogan. You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Miss Wyatt, you have a baby. Mr. Grogan, I assume, has been established as being the father of that child. You say he's responsible for some expenses involving the child's birth and initial few months of the child's life because he's now paying child support. So I have a few questions, Miss Wyatt. When did you and Mr. Grogan have this relationship?
We had started the relationship in the summer of 2003 when he moved back to Iowa from South Carolina.
Had you known him before?
Yes.
For how long?
Approximately 6 years.
Did you have an exclusive relationship with him?
Not at that time, no.
In 2003, did you have an exclusive relationship
Yes, we did.
with him? Did you discuss marriage?
No.
So this pregnancy was an unplanned pregnancy?
Correct.
Now, I know that this is a silly question, but how did that happen?
Failed birth control.
Failed birth control. Because it's been my experience, and I've been around for a long time, that there are no accidents.
Correct.
There are only on purposes that look like accidents. And these on purposes usually end up with you having to raise a child by yourself. Mr. Grogan, who is not totally without responsibility, right, Mr. Grogan?
No, ma'am.
Because it takes two to have precaution. And there's nothing wrong with having double precaution, right?
Yes, ma'am.
If you don't want to have a family. You have other children?
Yes, ma'am. I do have one other daughter.
And you?
I have 2 boys.
And how old are your 2 boys?
7 and 9 years old.
And where's their father?
Their father lives in the same town that we do.
Were you married to him?
Yes.
For how long?
7 years.
He pay child support?
Yes, he does.
How much child support does he pay?
$670 a month, and just recently stopped when he stopped working.
He pays $670 a month for 2 children?
Correct.
And how much child support do you pay, Mr. Grogan?
If you include the expense for insurance, it is right at $600 a month.
For 1 child?
Yes, ma'am.
That's expensive when you're not careful.
Yes, ma'am.
So, how old is your daughter, Miss Wyatt?
11 and a half months.
And tell me, what expenses do you think Mr. Grogan owes you for?
When we were together, before he left down for South Carolina for the birth of his first daughter, he had promised to pay for any baby items that we would need.
What do you mean to pay for the birth of his first daughter?
He moved back to Iowa in the end of August of '03, and he had another woman in South Carolina pregnant, due to have his child the end of April.
You had a very fertile period there, Mr. Grogan.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
We started working together. We started a relationship, and I got pregnant with our daughter. In November, I told him of that, and he said that he had still planned on going down to see the birth of his first child. He had no intentions of staying there. With her, it was just a one-night thing, and he was only going to stay down there for 2 or 3 weeks while she was born, and then he was going to come back up here, take care of our daughter, and stay with me.
That's not exactly.
He did not come back. It was one excuse after the other of it'll be in a couple more weeks, it'll be a couple
Miss
more
Wyatt,
weeks.
you've not have 2 children. You understand that a commitment means, honey, would you marry me? I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I want to have a family with you. I want to live with you. I want to take care of you. I want you to take care of me. That's a commitment. Then after you do that, then you think about having a baby. You don't do it the other way around. You do it the other way around. You're just looking for trouble.
I actually offered the commitment, Your Honor. I asked for her. I told her I would pay for move her and the boys down to South Carolina. I said, give it an honest 6 months. I said, if you do not like it, I will move you back. I even told her that we could get married. At this point, her mother had decided that she hated me. She wouldn't defend me with the family. I called her every day. I wish I had the phone records. Unfortunately, I don't. But I called her every day from the day I left almost until the day that Lauren was born, just to find out that 2 to 3 weeks before, just to find out that she had already had another boyfriend and that he was moving in with her.
Mr. Grogan, you weren't married to this woman in, where is it?
South Carolina.
South Carolina
No,
either.
No, ma'am.
So you already knew that it was possible for somebody to get pregnant without benefit of marriage, right? I mean, even
Yes,
I, at my age,
Yes,
know
ma'am.
that. And so it would seem to me that you would have been smarter in this relationship. Do you understand what I'm talking about?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
You already had one lady pregnant out of wedlock expecting a child, and then you have another relationship in Iowa, so it would seem to me at that point you might want to wear 2 galoshes instead of 1. Are we understanding each other,
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am,
Grogan?
I understand that.
What?
2 galoshes, I like it. I like it.
You know, make sure that it's foolproof. Because it caused an awful lot of pain and a lot of discomfort. Doesn't mean you're off the hook. Because ultimately, you're the one with the responsibility. I assume this is your mother?
Yes, it is.
And I assume that your mother has some sort of responsibility?
Yes, she does.
She didn't ask for the responsibility. She didn't even enjoy the event. But she has all the downside.
Correct.
That's selfish. Very selfish. Now, what kind of expenses did you have for the child? Give me an idea.
We had to buy a baby bed, car seat, clothing, diapers, formula, everything that a baby needs, strollers.
And did you pay for that?
Yes, I did.
And how much was it?
For everything that was purchased before her birth was $1,658, and I have receipts.
I don't want to know what was purchased before her birth. What were her expenses after she was born?
After her birth were the same things. Clothes that she would outgrow, she would need more clothes, she would need
So how much
more
did you spend?
formula. After she was born, I have no idea.
From age 0 to 7 months when he started to support the child?
Probably close to $2,000 to $3,000 a month.
Where'd you get that?
Or not a month, I'm sorry, the entire time.
And where did you get that money from?
I have borrowed money from my mother, my grandmother, my boyfriend helps out.
Well, he ought to. He's living there.
It's not his daughter.
No.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I'd worked out of my home as a daycare provider. It was
Why
my
can't you
full-time
do that
job.
now?
I'm starting that back up right now.
Well, when you start that, are you going to go to court and ask that his child support be reduced? Absolutely not. Right?
No, I won't.
So let's not get there.
And later today,
I went up to Desiree and asked if I could use her cell phone, and she said I could.
And then what did you do?
And then I remember giving it back to her.
That's not what you say in your answer. So get it together.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sandy Wyatt says the father of her daughter, Fabian Grogan, owes for their child's miscellaneous expenses. Fabian says Sandy is keeping him from his daughter.
What kind of work do you do, Miss Wyatt?
I work at home, raising my children.
So I would assume this $600 a month, the court directed him to pay and didn't allocate any amount of money to you for the child support because you're a stay-at-home mom. Is that right? Well, I want to tell you something. In my world of the law, if you choose to have a third child, you cannot choose to stay home and be a stay-at-home mom. That's not a prerogative for you. If you choose to have another child, that was your choice. You can't say you are totally responsible for the child's support because I'm going to have this baby and I'm going to stay home and take care of it. You don't have that right. You have 50% in my world. You have 50% of the obligation to support that child. In this country, mothers and fathers stand on equal footing. They have equal rights, and that's what the Supreme Court says. They have equal rights, then they have equal responsibilities. And equal responsibility means that you pay half of the support. And the court has determined that the child needs $600 a month support. Cut that in half, because $300 a month of that belongs to you. You choose not to work, he's not going to pay for you not working. Do I make myself clear?
Yes.
3 times 7 is $2,100, not $5,000. $2,100 is what I attribute to him for the child support. Is that reasonable?
Yes, ma'am.
Just a second. That's reasonable. Otherwise, get a job. You have a financial responsibility. You may have the 100% emotional responsibility, Miss Wyatt. That's your choice. You chose to do that.
Right. And I also had 100% financial responsibility for all the things that had to be purchased that before she was born, that he promised me, and he had had conversations with my mom on the telephone promising to pay for these things, which he paid nothing.
There, he's going to pay $2,100. Period. For the first 7 months of the child support. Now he's going to pay for the next 20 years all of the child support. Because when was the last time you held a full-time job?
Full-time?
Full-time.
It's been
that
over
you can
a year.
prove by what?
It's been over a year.
And how long did you have that job?
I had worked out of my home as a daycare provider for over 6 years. That
Well,
was
why
my
can't you
full-time
do that
job.
now?
I am starting that back up right now.
Well, when you start that, are you going to go to court and ask that his child support be reduced? You're going to go back to court like a fair person and say, I am now working full-time, so this child support order of $600 should be reduced? Absolutely not. Right?
No, I won't.
So let's not get there. Now, you want to tell me about this nonsense visit that you're counterclaiming about?
Like I said, I couldn't be there for Lauren. Well, I found out about Joe before Lauren's birth, so I did not make it for Lauren's birth. I had made those arrangements. But at Christmas, I cashed about $1,200 worth of checks, which I spent the entire amount on a trip going to Iowa to be able to see Lauren. As far as I'm concerned, the price of seeing Lauren is every minute is priceless. You couldn't put a price on that.
Good. So how many hours did you see her?
8 at max.
Good. Did you have a good time?
I did. I enjoyed every minute of it.
Good.
But she was supposed to make Lauren available to me. She told me I could see her as much as I wanted to. She did not make her available to me. She kept me at bay.
Do you have a visitation order now, sir?
The only orders I know of are just the child support order.
Well, let me tell you this, Mr. Grogan. You have the absolute right to seek a fixed order of visitation with your daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
And you should have a fixed order of visitation so that you can see her regularly. But that requires you to go to court, be proactive. You need not even get a lawyer with regard to that. By the way, when did you have a DNA test, sir?
I have not.
Why not?
I fully believe that she's my daughter. I have no reason to dispute the fact that she's my daughter.
Okay. I'm glad that you think that you're absolutely positive that this is your child. But I think it's always wise for people, especially in circumstances where they are not married and they have not been living together during the course of their relationship, to be 100% certain that the child for whom you are paying support is your biological child. We understand each other, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
I cannot tell you how many cases, unfortunately, that have appeared before me over the years where people are certain, both parties are certain, that this is a biological child of theirs. And it turns out that something else happened. You understand what I'm saying to you? What?
I was just going to comment on his counterclaim. When he had drove up here from South Carolina in this alleged $1,200 visit, he drove clear across the country with no driver's license.
Listen to me. Listen to me. That's not the issue, madam. The issue is he drove cross-country and he was met with a few obstacles to visitation. He has to have an order of visitation so that you do not fix the time when he can see his child. The court fixes that time. That's what he needs.
Your Honor.
And I'm telling you, while he's there, you ought to ask for a DNA test. Now go back to court and get an order.
I'm going to have to. The last conversation that we had, she told me I would never see Lauren again without a court order.
Oh, good. You see how
he threatened me into dropping this lawsuit.
Now I've come 2,500 miles. I'd like to be able to see my daughter while I'm here. I mean, I haven't seen her since Christmas. I try to
You mean
find
now?
out. Well, I mean,
Just a second. You mean now? Where is she?
Upstairs somewhere.
Oh, good. We will arrange for that visit. We can arrange for that visit. We can arrange in my chambers. We can arrange for the visit. You have no objection to that, do you? You have no objection to that, do you?
If he's sober, then no, I don't.
Just a second. Well, he's not going to...
He's very rarely sober,
Listen
Your
to
Honor.
me. Listen to me. He's sober now, and he's going to see the child in chambers. Do you have any objection to that?
No, ma'am, I don't.
Very good. So I want you to get the child, bring the child down to my chambers. We'll arrange for you to have a half-hour visit.
Thank you.
Reasonable?
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,100, and the counterclaim is dismissed. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Parties are excused. You may step out.
That's his child. Well, it's my child, but he helped bring her into the world.
Of course, I love her very much, and I hope I get to see her as much as possible.
He can just go around the country and continue making babies and not take care of them.
With her mother, I just don't think she's going to allow that without dragging it back into court.
Any man that does that isn't worth marrying.
And that's not good for me or the baby.
Women should watch out for this guy.
Lauren and I got to spend 30 minutes together, as the judge promised. They loved every minute of it.
And now the next case. If James Frederick is suing his girlfriend's ex, security officer David Abbasi, for breaking his ankle during a fight. David says James attacked him.
Now, this is case number 80 on the calendar in the matter of Frederick versus Abbasi. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. Frederick, the defendant is your girlfriend's ex-boyfriend, and it is your claim that you both found yourself at the same bar and that Mr. Abbasi assaulted you at the bar, causing you to fracture your ankle. You want him to pay all of your expenses relative to that assault and also some punitive damages. Mr. Abbasi says that you were the aggressor that night. He didn't see you injure yourself, and if it wasn't for your aggressive behavior, none of this would have happened. That's your defense. Is that right?
Yes.
When did this incident occur?
The night of February 7th, approximately 10:30.
And what was the name of the establishment that you were visiting?
The Horseshoe Pub.
What time did you arrive there?
Approximately 10 o'clock, I believe.
When you got there, was the defendant there?
Yes, I did know who he was. I'd never met him before that time.
Had you been to this bar before?
Yes, not very much. I don't go out to bars very often.
What prompted you to go there this evening?
Just to get out for a little while. I was supposed to meet my girlfriend there a little later.
Well, did you meet her there?
Yes, she came in probably about an hour later.
Before she arrived, you didn't know who this gentleman was?
Right.
When your girlfriend arrived, she advised you who this was?
Yes, once she saw him.
And you didn't know who he was, sir, when he arrived there, is that right?
I didn't.
How long has this young lady been your girlfriend? Or how long had she been your girlfriend on February 7th?
For 4 months, approximately.
How long had you been separated from her?
About 3 months.
You mean there was a month overlap?
Yeah, I believe they were 3 months in the relationship, not 4 months.
Did she leave you for him?
Yeah,
How long had you been together?
about a year and a half.
Were you upset?
Yeah.
Had you lived together?
Yeah.
So she left you
She was cheating on me.
with him?
Yeah.
And left the home that you shared to move in with you?
Yes. She wasn't cheating, Your Honor.
But she moved in with you immediately after she left him?
Correct, yes.
Okay. All right, so tell me what happened.
Well, on that night...
After your girlfriend arrived. We're at the point where your girlfriend arrived at the bar.
Okay. After she arrived, I noticed, well, she had told me who Mr. Abbasi was. At that point then, I acknowledged him.
How did you acknowledge him?
Well, after my girlfriend had told me who he was.
How did you acknowledge him, is my question. Did you shake his hand? Did you go over and say, hello, I'd like to introduce myself? How did you acknowledge him?
No, nothing like that.
Just tell me how you acknowledged him.
I just looked at him. That was it.
Okay.
After that, I didn't say anything, didn't do anything. She wanted to leave, which I probably should have taken her.
That was very smart of her.
Yes, it was.
She said, he's here and I want to leave.
Yes.
And you said...
I wanted to stick or I wanted to stay.
Me?
I should have went with her, decision. Afterwards, probably, I'd say 15, 20 minutes afterwards, Mr. Abbasi just started to look my way, and at both Lucy and I, and adjacent to him was a lady, and he was more or less smiling, laughing, pointing at us, and I just wanted to know what was going on. So I more or less shrugged my hands up. And
How far were you from him when you did that?
Maybe 20 feet.
It's not far?
Not very far, right. After that, basically, he got up in anger at that point, he started really prancing or almost running towards me on the other side of the bar. And I didn't know what he wanted. I didn't know if he wanted to fight. I didn't know if he wanted to talk. So I got up and I met him halfway through the bar. At that point, I lost him in the crowd. There were a lot of people there. And after that, he shoved me after he saw me, and I didn't know where he was. I fell back into the crowd, and I tried to regain my balance. And after I tried to regain my balance, he shoved me again. This time, I fell backwards in an awkward way and broke my ankle.
Now, your version of the events, Mr. Abbasi.
He waved me over to fight.
Show me how he did that.
By putting his hands over like
He
that.
went like that?
Yeah, calling me, saying he's going to kick my butt. We met simultaneously.
I don't want you to make things up as you're going along, Mr. Abbasi. Listen to me. Are you telling me from across the bar you heard him say something to you?
No.
Or are you just showing me this?
I heard him say he's going to kick my butt and wave me over. And then...
And what did you do?
We both simultaneously...
No. So he waved you over to come over because he wanted to fight with you.
Yeah.
And you being the intelligent, sober guy that you are...
I wasn't sober.
Oh, you weren't? Well, that accounts for something. So you were drunk.
Yeah.
So he waved you over, and you went over to fight with him.
Well, I was just thinking we're going to stick chests and try and talk it down, but then when I seen his fist come in, I had to push him.
Your Honor, that's a lie.
No, I don't want to hear you.
I'm sorry.
So continue. Let's keep going. So you got over there. He's waving you on, saying he's going to kick your butt. You go over there to butt chests with him because that's all you thought he was going to do. You saw him fist up his hand, and so you pushed him.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's how he hurt his ankle. If he hurt his ankle at all.
He claims that my shove threw him 10 feet across the room into a pool table, causing his ankle to break in 3 spots.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You visit your troubles on me and the taxpayer because this process cost money, and because you decided to be a macho jerk, you cost the taxpayer money.
And later today...
For slow play, any reasonable experienced golfer would walk to their ball so that you don't delay play, because slow play is the #1 problem with golfing.
No, the #1 problem with golfing is getting hit with a golf ball.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. James Frederick says he was attacked by his girlfriend's ex-boyfriend, David Abbasi. David says James instigated the fight.
Now I'll hear you. Step up. Who are you?
I'm the bartender that night.
Let me ask you this. What's your last name?
Banks.
Miss Banks, you know Mr. Abbasi and his girlfriend. Is that right?
Yes.
And how long have you seen Mr. Frederick in the bar?
I only had seen him that one night.
Where do you come from?
Palmdale.
And this bar is in Palmdale?
Yes.
How many bars are there in Palmdale?
4 or 5.
Mr. Frederick, what prompted you to go to that bar this evening? Because you went there by yourself, and you were meeting Lucy there, right?
Yes.
But Lucy was the one who suggested the Horseshoe Club?
Actually, I was.
Really? And Lucy didn't say to you, no, I don't want to go there because I used to go there with David?
Well, that was brought up, but I reassured her it was all right.
You're a troublemaker.
I didn't see any problem. I didn't know David.
You didn't see any problem? Mr. Frederick, if you weren't looking for trouble for one reason or another, sir, you wouldn't have gone to the bar if she gave you prior notice that this is a place where David would hang out. And when she arrived and she saw him there and she said to you, let's go, I feel uncomfortable. And you said, not me, I'm not going anywhere. I want to sit here. So despite the fact that she was uncomfortable and that the presence of the two of you was just an exacerbating circumstance, you decided to stay. Now, I'm not sure about on a legal level, but on a moral level, you got what you deserved. You look for trouble, it's going to find you. You know, there's certain things your grandmother says to you that are true, and one of them is, if you look for trouble, you're going to find it. Right?
Yes, Your Honor.
But you visit your troubles on me and the taxpayer because this process cost money and because you decided to be a macho jerk, you cost the taxpayer money, whether it's in this court and any other court. You're gobbling up court time for people who really have cases over which they had no control. Because you had plenty of control. I didn't go to another one of the 4 bars in Palmdale. Or when you went in there and you saw him there, you knew who he was, and Lucy said, let's go. You got up, pay for the drink, and you leave. Right?
Right. That's what my plan was, but I didn't take fast enough action.
Okay. Did you file a police complaint, Mr. Frederick?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
I'd like to see it, please.
I filed that the day after.
Why the day after, sir?
I was going to file it at the bar, and had I done so, he would have been incarcerated. I wanted to take care of my ankle. It was hurting and it was broken.
So you went immediately from the bar to the emergency room?
Yes.
Okay. Well, evidently they did an investigation, and they didn't arrest Mr. Abbasi for assault. Do you know why, sir?
Basically, they couldn't find him, and DA didn't want to prosecute because it's a typical bar fight. They see it a lot, so they didn't feel it.
Because it's just as possible that you lost your balance because you were drunk.
I wasn't that drunk, Your Honor.
How do I know that? You don't have to be that drunk to trip. Mr. Frederick, I said something to you before, sir, and what I said, you may sit down. What I said to you before is if you look for trouble, you're going to find it. Now, I don't necessarily think that it was Mr. Abbasi's intention to get into a confrontation with you that evening, but it is clear to me that it was your intention to get into a confrontation with him. I say that for the following reasons. I am now summing up. Your girlfriend told you that she was going to meet you that evening. You discussed going to the Horseshoe Bar. She said, I don't think I want to go to the Horseshoe Bar because that's where David hangs out. You said, I don't care, I'll meet you there, don't be ridiculous. You go there, and sure enough, when she shows up an hour later, after you've had a couple of drinks, she says to you, I don't want to stay because David's at the other side of the bar. And you say, I don't care. Let's see what goes down if we stay here. It seemed to me, Mr. Frederick, you got the girl. You should be a happy guy. You shouldn't be looking for trouble. The girl that you're living with, the girl that you're happy with says, I'm not comfortable here. You pick yourself up and you leave. Chose not to do that. He pushed you. You fell. You broke your ankle. That's an accident. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The man's got issues where he can't get over his ex-girlfriend.
He wanted to show me he has her.
I didn't think he was, you know, a violent guy.
She wants to see us fighting over each other.
He was lucky he got away with this.
I'm just glad justice is done.
And now the next case. Electrician Richard Langlands is suing his ex-girlfriend, bartender Melissa Doyle, for the return of money she fraudulently accepted from him. Richard says she led him to believe that she wanted a relationship.
Quiet in the courtroom, please. Quiet in the courtroom, please. Now, this is case number 235 on the calendar in the matter of Langlands versus Doyle. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Mr. Langlands, how old are you, sir?
27.
Who is this lady?
This is my mother.
Miss Doyle, how old are you?
28.
Who is this lady?
She's the general manager at the extended stay hotel I was staying at.
Mr. Langlands, how many children do you have?
1.
And that child you have with Miss Doyle?
Yes, ma'am.
And Miss Doyle has how many children?
3.
And only one of them is his?
Yes.
Do all 3 children live with you?
No, my older 2 live with my parents. Elizabeth lives with me.
How old are your older 2 children?
8 and 6.
Parents have custody of them?
Yes.
Was there a trial with regard to that issue?
Yes, there was.
How old is Elizabeth?
She's 2.
Parents didn't seek custody of Elizabeth?
No, they did not.
Okay. This is your complaint. Generally speaking, Mr. Langlands, I'm going to let you explain it to me more fully. You claim Ms. Doyle owes you some money. And you claim she owes you some money because you sent her a substantial amount of money when you moved to California from Colorado?
Yes, ma'am.
She stayed in Colorado for whatever reason. But according to you, it was your intention, and you believed it was her intention, to relocate with the children, all 3 of them, to California.
Yes, ma'am.
And she didn't.
No.
So you want the money back that you sent her. Some of it back, because some of it is for your daughter Elizabeth. But you sent her what you perceived to be more money than you should have sent and was your obligation because you really thought that you had a future together.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that what this case is about?
Yes.
So I'm going to let you tell me in your own words, in a very short period of time, why you believe legally Miss Doyle owes you money.
In Colorado, I was living there and I was working there, and her parents, you know, were constantly harassing me So I left to come to California because, you know, I just couldn't take it anymore.
Is that where your family is?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you had a discussion with Miss Doyle that she was going to join you?
Melissa couldn't leave Colorado because she had been arrested on 2 counts of felony kidnapping.
Who did she kidnap?
The 2 older children.
From whom?
She took them out of state.
Well, who had custody of them?
Miss Doyle did.
Did somebody have visitation with the children?
No, it was ordered in the court. My belief is that she wasn't allowed to take the children out of state without the other party's consent.
Which other party?
Her ex-husband.
Okay, so she had 2 counts pending of felony kidnapping against her. She couldn't leave Colorado. When was this, sir?
May 31st, she was arrested.
Of 2004?
No, 2003.
Okay. When did you relocate to California?
It was the middle of July, around July.
Of 2003?
Yes.
Okay. And how much money did you send to her in total?
It came close to $5,000 just in Western Union transfers.
Over what period of time?
4 months.
Did she ask you for the money?
Well, she had moved out of her parents' home because her parents had filed paperwork to intervene and get parental custody of the 2 older children. And she moved out of the house and moved into a motel, quit her job, and she had Elizabeth, the 2 other kids, so I felt I needed to be sending money.
Okay, so you did. So she didn't ask you for the money, but you just knew she needed it.
Right.
Okay. So at that time you sent her, over those months, about $5,000.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm listening.
This was with the intent, and, you know, this custody case and the criminal case was going to be over, and she was going to come to California. We were going to get married, and I tried to be everything that Melissa wanted me to be and everything that she wanted, and it just wasn't good enough. She had received money in January of 2004, which was a $3,000 tax return. She never told me about this. The only reason I found out is because one of the kids got on the telephone and told me that she had bought a vacuum, and I'm the only person that's sending money. She's not working. And I told her, you know, how did she come about this? And she says, well, I got a $3,000 tax return. Well, why didn't you tell me? And this was in February. She told me that she wanted to come out to California for Valentine's Day to surprise me. That's why she never told me.
Oh, okay.
And rather than pay some bills.
Fine. When did she finally tell you she wasn't coming out to California?
We had an argument in February, and, you know, we never talked for a couple of weeks. She called me, it was late one night, it was like 11 o'clock one night, and she had told me she had been sleeping with a gentleman whose name I don't know. But okay. It's my belief that she withdrew her motion to relocate to California on November 19th here in her custody case.
Mr. Langland.
Leading me to believe
Mr. Langland, while I'm sympathetic with you, in order to recoup money, there has to be a loan or some promise to repay. And that clearly wasn't the case in this case. There was no loan, there was no loan agreement, there was no promise to repay you. So my sense is that your lawsuit is grounded somewhere in fraud, that she fraudulently
Yes, ma'am.
accepted money from you because it was your intention and you believed it was her intention to come to California.
Yes, ma'am.
2 things. First of all, you can't quantify how much money that you should be sending her for the support of your child. Maybe it's $5,000, maybe it's $10,000, maybe it's $15,000, maybe it's $50. Can't quantify that. So I don't know if you sent her $5,000 over the course of several months because she was living. So how much is that for your daughter? How much is that for her? How much is that for the 3 kids? You cannot quantify that. Second, you can't creep into her head. I mean, there may have been in some period of time when she accepted this money that she said, you know, there's a chance that I'm going to go out to California with, what's your first name?
Richard.
Richard. So, truth of the matter is you really don't have a lawsuit against her for this money. But I have a more important question to ask you. Several important questions to ask you. Have you ever been legally declared Elizabeth's father?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that after or before a blood test?
There was never any blood test done.
Why not?
Because I mean, we were together, and you know, she's my daughter.
Okay. Just asking you, sir. Did you live together?
Yes, for a short period of time.
How long?
6 months, 8 months maybe.
And when did she tell you she was pregnant?
3 months after we were together.
And how much later was Elizabeth born?
9 months later. Well, 7 months later. 6 months later, sorry.
Did you suggest to him that he have a paternity test?
I did, Your Honor.
Step up. And what did he say to you?
He believed the child was his.
I have a picture of her.
I'm not interested in a picture. I'm not interested in a picture. I'm interested in him being smart. His mother's smart. You're not too smart.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
There isn't a court in the land that is able to take children away from a biological parent and give those children to a grandparent merely because their mother wants to move to another state.
It happened in Colorado.
That is impossible.
And later today,
Why would they pay anything towards your moving in to a new residence with yourself, a very tall, able-bodied boyfriend who wears a lot of gold jewelry, and your 13-year-old son?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Richard Langland says ex-girlfriend Melissa Doyle defrauded him out of money. Richard claims she led him to believe she wanted a relationship.
Now, if you believe that this child is yours, and I assume you're paying child support, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you visit with her?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
Because I live in California, and Melissa makes it very difficult to even have any kind of phone contact with my daughter, contrary to
different babysitters, different locations, picks her up at 3 o'clock in the morning, leaves her with different babysitters.
Let me suggest this to you. You have a situation where Miss Doyle has 3 children.
To 3 different men.
I know you're dying to talk. She has 3 children. Her parents believed, clearly, that she was such an inadequate caretaker that they had a trial to take the children from her and have custody of the children.
They tried to take custody because I wanted to move to California with him. They didn't file for custody.
Miss Doyle.
Until I moved to
Miss
California
Doyle,
with
my
him.
dear, listen to me very carefully.
I'm not an inadequate mother in any way, shape, or form.
There isn't a court in the land that is able to take children away from a biological parent and give those children to a grandparent merely because their mother wants to move to another state.
It happened in Colorado.
That is impossible. That would not happen. So what I'm saying to you, sir, if you are convinced that this child is yours, and you know it has been determined that she is an inadequate parent for her older 2 children, I would think long and hard about allowing my daughter to stay with her. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I am seeking custody.
With that in mind, I'm dismissing your case for money because you have no case. There's a bigger picture here. I suggest that you deal with that. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
That's all, Step.
Thank you.
Why is that excuse to step up?
It's really not about the money. I just want people to know what's going on in Colorado as far as my daughter's concerned.
We were engaged, so I just assumed that that's why he was sending me money.
How vindictive, malicious, and callous Melissa actually is.
If anybody's vindictive, he is. He's the one suing the mother of his child.
I hope to get custody of my daughter and make sure she's safe.
I think a little girl needs her father, but as far as we are, you know, I don't see anything.
And now the next case.
So delicious. Tasty. So delicious. Juicy. Juicy. Tasty. Juicy. Tasty. Ooh. Divine. Divine. Juicy. Tasty. Juicy. Juicy. Soda Crush. Divine. Juicy. Tasty. So delicious. Tasty. Tasty. Yeah! Soda Crush. Juicy.